See, I think if I was the GM, I'd rule that if you took the squawk feat, you actually have to squawk, and as even as a human, and so the bewilderment of everyone to why you squawked makes them forget what happened before, and that's how it works.
What about if you squawk and you're in long nose form? How does that work?
I think everyone's super bewildered then. But that does say, like, there's no limitation on you being able to do that, so that does suggest you don't need to have the beak to squawk,
This
which
is
is
true.
adopted ancestry, like support.
Yeah, sure can. Great Tengu form is pretty cool.
Yes.
I'm glad that they've decided to put the put the nuance or the word oni onto Tengu and not
Yes,
just
because
ogre mages.
yeah, they're
Um,
actually leaning a lot more into the actual Japanese mythology of it, of these yokai. So
which is really cool. We've had a lot of great Japanese kind of culture. I don't want to say perfect culture representation, but
yeah,
definitely
they sort of
done
they
with
take they've
care.
taken a lot from Japanese mythology
Yeah,
without always acknowledging that it is Japanese mythology. I feel like
yep,
sometimes, and
yep.
I think now they're sort of trying to acknowledge it more where these roots are coming from, and they're just like, oh yeah, Noga Mage and the Tengu who have nothing to do with Tengu. Now they're like, no, it's Oni. These are like yokai. The Tengu are actually like the Japanese forms, and I feel like there's a bit more respect paid to the mythology they come from, which is cool.
I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, here are your versatile heritage. Go off.
Yes. This is such a great idea because yeah, I mean, again, anyone who knows me knows I adore tieflings, and I think especially like I'll play a tiefling, and I think and making them expanded is brilliant. But I think yeah, the big thing that I've talked about before is tieflings, especially is I think if you ever play a game with a lot of gay gamers, a lot of us play tieflings because there is very much something about being sort of visibly marked as sin that's appealing to us, where you can be rejected by your family, and everywhere you go, you are considered sinful just by who you are. And I think that's something that we can relate to. So Tieflings are one of my favorites, and the way they've done them and the way they've done all of the versatile is just so cool. Being able to apply them to any ancestry, I think this is something that second edition has just nailed. Like being like, no, you're not just like a tiefling and you have to be human. It's like, why? Why would you only have to be human? It's like, no, you can be an elf tiefling, you could be an Azamar goblin, which I assume a few people are going to be playing Azamar goblins because that's hysterical. I mean, you could be a tiefling kobold. You'd probably look even more dragony. It'd be great. So yeah, I absolutely love that. I adore like a lot of the versatile heritages here, and I adore how they've done versatile heritages because I think it's so smart, and the fact that it opens the door for many more, and there's not this whole human as default anymore, which I really think is cool. But
Well, your least favorite
yes, I'm
ancestry.
afraid anybody who wants to be through knows my feelings about hags, and I'm afraid, yeah, not a big fan of changelings for a similar reason.
Um, if you don't know why she particularly hates hags, you should definitely watch our Bestiary 2 review.
Yeah,
She goes into great detail about it. Learned us a couple of things, and Paizo was even nice enough to reach out to her personally, I
yeah.
think, and
Yes,
thank you
and they
for
said I
letting
learned a
them
couple
know
of
that.
things. Yeah, they didn't mention that specifically, but they did say they learned, and I get the feeling that might have been it because I do think, yeah, I think a lot of people, I think especially outside of Europe, aren't aware of Blood Libel and a lot of the connections with that, and think it's something that we need to be aware of, and I hope that's something they take in mind going forward.
I'll talk about Changeling just because it
You go
makes
ahead.
her a little. She doesn't like it. I personally like the Changeling ancestry. I don't necessarily like where it comes from, like what it's based on. I think that there is a place for kind of like an occulty kind of witchcrafty type of ancestry. There's probably a better way to get to it or explain it. Um,
I feel like a Fey touched child could be cool for that kind of thing. Because
it could be.
again, similar to Tieflings, I like the idea of being sort of the odd child, the sort of the child who doesn't fit, and there's something wrong with you. And I think you could do that more better with like a Fey touched child. It could be interesting, and it's something to do with like a deal your parents made or something. And I think that could be a cool way to do it.
There's only one page to them. There's not a lot. They get claws. They get dark vision. It's not. Let's not go too deep into it. Just
Okay.
because. Uh, I don't like Dampiers, and I'm going to tell you why. I don't
Okay.
like. I don't like half vampires. I just don't. I just don't. It's not my thing.
Vampire truer.
I play, and I'm very interested in a specific product from another company that covers vampires very well, and I just don't like half vampires. I do like the fantasy trope vampires though, the gothic kind of fantasy
Yeah.
vampire, which is what you get as an enemy. But I don't know,
Yeah.
man.
I feel like a lot of this is about sort of almost getting that trope as a player character without playing a full vampire, which
Yeah.
it's whether you I can get why you don't like it, but I will say I do like that they can turn into bats. So
What
that's
level do
probably
they do that though? Form of the well, it's 13th level. That's pretty deep too. Gives flight.
yeah.
I don't know, man. It strikes me as being like I feel like there's like additional lore that needs to be around this, as
Yeah.
in like why do they get more powerful vampire abilities as they level up, right? Like why are you see what I'm saying?
I think
Like
that's with every ancestry is the thing. I think it's all about your sort of development. You have to because they all get more powerful as they level up.
I mean, yeah, you're right, but I don't know. It seems really weird.
Yeah.
Although
They're not my like favorite of them. We'll get to my favorites.
Although a Damphir Isoki or rat folk who can turn into a rat and a bat sounds
And then
pretty
you have your
cool.
little like sharp ratty teeth.
Yeah, with fangs. Yeah,
Cute.
of course.
He's like,
take-
now you like it. No, and that's the thing. I think it's so great that they added because I think there is something like okay, yeah, Dampier human, and it's like, okay, you're a Dampier Leshy, and it's like, well, how does that work? And it's like, that is the question I like. That's what
That's
makes
a
the
good
characters-
question, right?
When you say, how does that work? That's how you make good characters. We like, okay, here's a combination I can make. How on earth does this work? One of my favorite characters I've made is when I was looking at the barbarian dragon instinct. I was like, how would it work for a barbarian to worship a dragon when they're sort of so chaotic and thing, and often see this fighting them? It's one of my favorite characters I made is somebody who's very tied to silver dragons and tied to the world wound, and it was like that's one of my favorite origin stories. Any of my favorite stories come from you having to ask a question and you're like, wait, where does this come from? And I think that makes them the most interesting characters. So that's something I really like about the Versatile Heroes as well, that they do force you to ask questions about your character, which develops them more. So, and makes for different origins as well, because there could be 3 different people who have Dampier Leshies who have got different ways of doing them. So yeah, which I think is very cool.
just not a half vampire fan.
That's fine. Now the Planar Scions.
This
Again.
is where all the fun comes, I think.
This is the great stuff. We love these guys. But no, and I do appreciate, again, with the Asmore Tieflings, that they've made it very explicit that they are not inherently good and inherently evil. Because I think there's always one of the big problems with ancestries, and that's the orcs as well, where you're like, this is a sapient, intelligent, reasoning race, but they're all evil. Or they're all good. And it's like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It's like, so when they're like, no, a lot of people will assume you're good and treat you better in Asmore, and that make you a good person. And a lot of people will treat you like shit as a tiefling, and that might force you down a bad path. But that's not definite.
I think I mentioned this about Rise of the Rune Lords when we did our first video that had sound issues. Like the first major bad guy in the first book of that AP is an Azamar who wasn't treated, I guess, bad by any stretch of the imagination, but
They
she was
were singled out.
yeah, they were singled out, and they thought that she could cure warts by touching them as a child and things like that. And
Expectations piled on you, and you're just like,
they always were trying to rip out strands of her hair every time she walked by because
God.
it would be terrible.
So there is that. It's like, okay, you get all this attention. Is that necessarily a good thing? It's like, what do people expect
Well,
of
it's
you?
like-
Can you live up to those expectations? What does that do to you?
It's like entitlement, right? It's like
Yeah.
they thought that they were entitled to, like, I don't know, your
You're not a
blood
person
or
to them,
beauty
you are
or-
a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You're
It's-
like a blessing to them, and that does dehumanize. It's the whole thing. It's like there's 2 ways to dehumanize someone. You put them beneath you, or you put them above you. You put them on a pedestal, or you step on them. Both are dehumanizing. So,
So like I really understood why she was the bad guy, and like
Yeah.
I really was like, man,
interesting take on it. And Asmar Tieflings are our first ancestries that don't just get like fly speeds once a day, can turn into a bat. They can just fly. They eventually, obviously, because it's very powerful, just get full wings and can fly, which I know a lot of people adore. Like the whole aesthetics of that is like, even apart from the power of it, just the absolute aesthetics of having massive wings and being able to fly around is a fantasy that a lot of people want to play, and that we have a way to implement that now, which I really like.
I mean, she's talking about Eternal Wings, which is of course a level 17 ancestry feat, but but I mean, you do get the ability to use them once a day. I think at
9th level.
Is it 9th level? Yeah.
My Asmar has just turned 9th level. I've picked it up. She doesn't realize she's an Asmar yet. She's gonna realize when she starts growing wings.
Nice.
So, just like, should probably check what that is.
I mean, if you want to get technical though, Celestial Strikes is actually extremely powerful.
Yes, although not as good if you are playing evil.
No. Maybe not.
Not for your evil campaigns.
But I mean, just having one additional good damage, it's gonna unlock all that special.
Anything that's weak to good.
Yeah.
Literally any fiends that are weak to good.
So
but I think that makes sense. Like, if you have Celestial Blood, it should be effective against fiends.
Yep.
So yeah.
I mean, you're looking at 6, 11, 16, or even 21 points of damage on some of the most powerful enemies in the game. Yeah.
It's nice.
Especially if you play Age of Ashes. Are you not a tiefling? Or you're an Aasimar, right?
I'm an Asmar, yes.
Yeah.
So is that okay? I'll consider that.
I mean, the whole thing is about a cult of Dayhawk.
Yes. They're dragons, not fiends. But the fiends.
You don't think evil dragon gods are?
I didn't know they're counted as fiends, but yeah, we shall see.
Duskwalker, which I believe you said you didn't like until you read it.
Yes. It's not I didn't like it, it's that I didn't care. It's like, when I knew this book was coming out, again, tieflings, adore tieflings. So I was like, oh yeah, tieflings, I like a bit of Aasimar, love the new ancestries, Duskwalker, whatever. I basically dismissed it. I didn't care about Duskwalkers. I was like, oh, you're like born of a psychopomp or something, whatever. And then I read like the actual flavor. They're not born of a psychopomp. These are deliberately selected, reincarnated souls, born of an argument between psychopomps about whether somebody who was cut down too young should be allowed or not. And there was sort of a compromise made where there's a few souls that get to be reincarnated as Duskwalkers, and I was just like, oh my gosh, that's so much more interesting than just like, oh yeah, my mom was like a Marigna, I guess. And it's just like, I fell in love with this, and I think that's always the sign of something good. Like, for tieflings, I love them already, so of course I'm gonna love them. For Duskwalkers, the fact that they captured me so much when I didn't care about them, I think is a massive achievement. And I've already made 2 Duskwalkers, and I think they are definitely one of the big standouts for me in here, that they really changed my opinion on them.
I will say Ghost Hunter might be low-key the most powerful first level feat ever. I can't think of another feat that's as good as that.
If you're playing in an undead campaign, like, you're laughing.
Yeah.
And you probably want to play a Duskwalker like in an undead campaign, because like there's a lot of good like lore stuff you can do with that as well.
But I mean, it's like regular weapons count as magic if they're not, and if they are magic, they count as ghost touch. It's like a free.
That opens up a free rune for you.
Yeah, it's a free property rune. It's crazy good.
No, that is an incredibly powerful one. Again, I would argue that the specificity of it. Like, if you play a whole campaign and you never find something that needs a ghost touch rune, then it might be a bit useless.
I mean, but like wraiths and
no, absolutely, that's what I'm saying. I think against
shadows,
undead, it's fantastic.
wraiths,
but I'm saying, I guess the balance here is that it won't affect everything, but I do think it is very powerful.
Yeah, but wraiths and shadows are kind of like, they're pretty common.
Yeah.
Enemies to throw in.
It's not like it's really specific to only undead campaigns, yeah.
Yeah, like
they will be around.
Oh, you're in a graveyard? Put a wraith in there. You know? Oh, you're in a dark cavern? Throw a couple shadows in there. You know, it's fine. Life Sense is really good. Life Sense is so crazy good too.
And then we got this with a couple of answers as well. The Boneyard's cool, where you can just pop to the Boneyard once a week, go see for Asthma. What's up? And then you can pop back.
I mean, it is pretty cool that you can do that, but the most powerful 20th level feat is still the cleric one, where you can just go see your god.
You just go see your god for a bit. You just chill.
Yeah, you're
It's
like so
what's up?
powerful. Your god like knows your name and lets you chill with
Yeah,
her.
you're
And
like, oh, come chill, come chill.
Serenway's like, oh yes, come on in, have a
Got the
seat.
fruit out, yeah. Got the girls round. You've
Yeah,
got like Desna
Calistria and
there.
Desney are coming over.
Great, girls night out. So yeah, no, I love that. No, absolutely, and I love that. Yeah, these aren't quite there, but they're
Let
getting
me
there.
introduce you to
Yeah, just,
Shaylin. You know, she comes by every
yeah,
now and then.
she's great. Plays the harp all night. Brilliant.
It's crazy. I think it would be interesting to go see Iomade, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like she's always in front of like some celestial war table, right?
Yes.
trying to piece together where Aridin is.
Yeah, it's really fun to sort of think about their domains and how they act within them. So yeah.
You know, she's just like pounding the table and flipping it. We've looked everywhere for him. If only Pharasma would tell me the truth.
Rasmus just like, anyway.
It's like I ain't touching that with a 10-foot pole. Tiefling.
Again, I've already talked.
You
about
already
tieflings.
threw it
And
out.
I will say the art at the start of this chapter with the Plane of Scions, that tiefling, she's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
The big hooves and the massive horn, like that's what I'm talking about with tieflings.
Then you got Asmodeus' little brother here.
Yes, well he's actually an Abadar cleric. If you actually look at his book.
I know, but you know.
But that's the thing, like he looks like a straight up devil. Like
Yep.
if you came across him in a campaign, your players would assume he's a devil. Which, like, when I saw him, I was like, oh, he looks like a devil. And that's immediately it. It's like, yeah, you're not just, like, sometimes a little bit blue with, like, cute horns. It's like, you look at that and you think devil. And that's what people think when they look at you. So I'm glad they put him in, because it immediately puts you in the position of judging the tieflings, which is exactly what they face. And I think it immediately is like, oh, right, yeah, this is it. I immediately thought devil. And that's exactly what people think when they look at you.
And like their counterpart, the Azamir, they also can get permanent wings.
Yes, they can. So, yes. So you can get your massive wings, which is a peak. They have a lot of cute stuff, and I love the flavor for their light from darkness feat, where it's like you battle the fiendish power within your nature and come out on top. Whatever you decide to do with your life, good or evil, will be your choice and your choice alone. I feel like that's a lot of the stuff with tieflings, where they're constantly having to grapple with all the expectations, and in the end, it's like I'm done with all these like cosmic forces trying to influence me. This is me, and I like a lot of the flavor with a lot of tieflings. And also hooves.
The APG didn't just introduce the new heritages or whatever these. I'm spacing on the word. Alice, help me here.
Ancestries.
No, it introduced 5 new ancestries, but these specific,
Heritages.
yeah, these.
Versatile. Yep.
It also gave us some new ancestry feats for the core races.
Yes.
With
Which is
exception to maybe the half orc. I don't think they got any.
But
they can take all the orc.
Literally, the
Yeah.
orc page is the half orc page.
Yeah.
It's like, here's a bunch of really cool new stuff. I don't think half orcs will be too upset. Because they did get a bunch of really cool new things. And, like, I do believe most of their stuff they can just take. Like, there's nothing there that I feel will be locked out of a half orc. Because they can take ferocity and everything.
Yeah, there's
So
nothing.
I
Yeah.
believe most of them, if not all of them, can be taken by half orcs.
Well, yeah, they could take any ancestry feat with
Yeah, I
the
do
human
believe the Tusks
orc
one, they
or
have a
half
more
orc.
specific one for them. So the Tusks one might be slightly different, but apart from that, yeah. You can pick up any half
maybe.
orc ones. Or orc ones.
So we're looking at dwarves here.
Yes.
Returning throw seems really cool.
It's very good. I love a lot of the like really stone-based stuff they got in this one. There's a lot more sort of to do with their origins in this, like the stone and the earth. And I really, really love the Defy the Darkness, where if you're a dwarf, you can get greater dark vision, but you have to. It's like a pact, where you have to swear to never cast a spell that has a darkness trait.
Ooh.
And so you almost become a friend of the darkness, and the darkness lets you see through it as long as you don't use it yourself. So I love that. There's a very sort of mystical nature to that we don't always see as much with the dwarves, and we see it with the stone as well. They almost have this is more grounding, almost a connection to the underground for them, where they almost have this like spiritual connection to the ground and to the darkness, which I think is a very cool addition for the dwarves.
That is pretty cool.
And also,
Sheltering
you
slab.
get greater dark vision as a 5th level feat, which doesn't hurt.
They might be the only ancestry that can get it right now.
They are definitely the only ancestry that gets it.
Yeah.
So yeah. But there is the caveat: you cannot use any darkness spells.
I really like the Galarian elves and their like solid color eyes.
Honestly, I
They're
think it
very
makes them. They're not just
very
like pretty
alien.
humans.
Yeah, they're
Literally,
very
no, they
alien
are.
looking.
They are a lot more alien. And I love the ones that have like bright orange eyes and like really think like they are very explicitly not just pretty humans. Like,
Yeah.
they do look different. I do really like that.
I think they're taller in Galarian too, or is
I
that?
believe they are. Yes.
Yeah.
I believe they are taller in this one, whereas they're shorter in some of the stuff. But they got some really cool new stuff. Their 17th level feat's very nice. The Magic Rider being able to bring more people along on teleports. That's definitely something I'm looking at for some of my elves. Like,
I mean, this is probably so they can go back and forth to Castroville.
that's the thing. It's like teleportation is explicitly linked to elves, so it makes sense as well
Yeah.
that they have stuff. Is like, yeah, they sort of almost adopted the goddess of teleportation into their pantheon.
Alceta.
Yes. That's who my Asma worships. So yeah.
If you want to know more about Alceta and elf teleportation, you should find a game master that wants to run Age of Ashes.
Yeah. So yeah, no, an Avenge Ally I think is one of my favorite like thematic feats in here, where you know that you will eventually outlive your companions, but seeing them at death's door brings clarity to your attacks. You're just sort of an elf like not today, not today. It's like you know they'll die eventually, but
I'm
not today.
so here's an open question to Paizo. Why do we have combat abilities that can only be used once every 10 minutes? Like I get it, but you don't always take a 10-minute rest after a combat. So
I guess it's
like
you have to
I
factor
mean
that in.
you clearly want this to only be used once per combat, right? I mean that's where I'm coming from. But
Yeah.
I think once per minute does that as well.
That's
'Cause
fair.
I
But,
have yet
maybe
to-
the point of this is that you can't use it when you're just rushing through a dungeon as well.
Yeah,
That
maybe.
It does require some sort of centering to it.
But I mean, it's not just this one ability. It's
Yes,
just-
no, absolutely.
Yeah, there's just a
I
lot
kind
of them.
like it for this. That it does require almost
Yeah.
sort of an emotional sort of centering to it. So I do
I
quite
just-
like it. But I get what you're saying.
I just want to know
Where
like
does the
their
10-minute fit?
yeah, like I want to get their reasoning behind a once every 10 minute.
What's the choice? Like, where is the line between 1 minute and 10-minute abilities? What
Right.
makes the decision?
Because like then the next up is once per hour.
Yeah, which is
Which is different. That's like saying, yeah, you're going to use this like maybe once in an entire dungeon or
yeah.
maybe twice if you're in there
Yeah.
a long time and take a lot of 10-minute rests. But
You have
like,
to
I
spend
get-
an hour treating some wounds.
I mean, this almost harkens like I mean, I'm totally going off topic here, but it almost kind of like harkens back to 4th edition of the other fantasy game.
Yeah,
Where you
it's
had
a couple
where
times.
well, I mean they didn't do it by like time, they did it by encounter, right? Like you could have something you could use once a day, something you could use once per encounter, something you could use once per combat round, whatever. And that almost feels like where they're going with this, but this one is like more than once an encounter.
Yeah.
But it could be once an encounter if somebody's got to make a medicine check at the end, or you got to repair a shield.
Definitely. So you have to clarify. So
I don't know,
work
it's-
out what the difference is.
Like at my table, and pretty much roll the rolls table, 10-minute abilities require like additional bookkeeping that 1 minute and 1 hour don't.
Yeah, where you're like, wait, how many minutes has it been? Like we
Yeah,
went
I'm
there and
like,
then
so
we
can
went
I
there.
use this
It's
again?
trickier.
Like, how long
Whereas
did
it's
we?
like if a fight ended and then there was another fight, you're like, yeah, a minute's passed.
Yeah.
It's like that's easy. Yeah, no, I can see what you're saying.
Yeah, it just it fits into like a really weird, like it would be I almost get to where they want to say it recharges after, or they don't even call it a short rest, but a 10-minute break.
Yeah.
But technically it recharges in the middle of
Just
a
after
march
10
too.
minutes. Yep.
Yeah. So like I don't know. I just feel like it's just a weird thing. Like it recharges in two different ways. Yeah, you took a 10-minute break, you made a medicine check, you repaired a shield, you drank a potion, you rememorized a different spell, you whatever. And then there's you've been in 8 fights, so 10 minutes is technically passed, you can use it again. The gnomes. I'll be completely honest. I don't know a lot about gnomes in Galarian. They've never really been a
They're
ancestry
one of the
or race that
standouts for me.
I've played. I do know a little bit about the bleaching and that they're always trying to like not be bored so they don't get sucked back into the Fey world or whatever. Which
Not
is
sucked into the
really
Feywild,
cool.
just die.
I
If they get
think
bored, they die.
I think it might have been the Kingmaker game by Owlcat Games to
Yeah.
where there's like a passage about a gnome that died to the bleaching, and so now he's some powerful king in the Fey realm. So I really don't know if they
Can't remember.
die. I think
Yeah.
they would.
I
I think
think
they
they,
kind
they
of
just
like.
believe they do.
I think.
So
Well,
I think that's so important. I love that because yeah, I think for me coming from 5e, the distinction between gnomes and halflings wasn't massive. Like if you wanted to play a small, cute, kind of amiable family race, you played either of them. And I feel like there wasn't a great distinction between the two of them. And I when I came to Pathfinder 2e, I think the gnomes really stood out for me because that was such a massive thing for them, this bleaching. Like that affected their whole culture. Like I
Yep.
love one of the things like them, you see the difference, you're like, oh, should I play a gnome or a dwarf? And so one of the big things you can think about is what is your approach to family? Like if you and your like if you're a gnome lady and you've got your wife and you get bored, in dwarven culture you stay with her and you support her through it and you work through it together, and even when you fall out of love you stick together because it's tradition and family. For gnomes that's a death sentence. You break up and you both understand that and you both chill with that, and you might like one of you leaves, and like that's completely normal. Their culture is built around constant change, so things like divorce, things like families massively change their whole structure for gnomes because they need to. Like their
Yep.
structure for their society is so forcibly changed by the bleaching, which I think is such a fascinating thing. I love it when they really lean into how the mechanics affect the culture and society, because it will. It's like that's not just going to have zero impact and they're just going to look exactly like human society, except sometimes they die. It's like they need to stay constantly interested and excited to stay alive, and so that affects how they view things and how they view each other and accept different things. And I love that about the gnomes in this. So I think they're very cool, and I also think his mustache and eyebrows are very cool. So.
I mean, they even get an ancestry feat at 17th level to where they go back and forth
They
between
go to the Feywild, yes.
Yeah.
That's another one like
So-
the Duskwalker one.
Yeah. What can we say about goblins?
Goblins are so good. I love the flavor. All of these feats, like when you're actually just reading them, like the flavor for them is so funny. Like the loud singer is staying on pitch, proper breath control, and remembering the words. All less important than the real measure of a good singer: volume. It's just like, you know what a goblin is as soon as you read that. You wouldn't need to tell someone much about goblins, show them that passage, they understand goblins. It's like, I love it when you can capture it so much like that. It's like, right, that's goblins. So yeah, and then just like they're at level 17 feet as well. Despite a lifetime filled with questionable decisions, you've managed to survive. It's just like you have always messed up, but somehow you're still here. So I love just the absolute flavor. Whoever wrote the goblin feats, like, well done, because I lose it every time I read them. Oh dear.
Halflings.
Got a
And
new heritage for them, which I didn't expect.
yeah, the Jinxed halfling.
Yeah. So I've got a new uncommon heritage for the halflings. Definitely didn't expect that.
They got a lot of cool dancey things.
Yes, they got a lot of nice stuff, like deliberately, based on their size, and yeah, a lot of them is about sort of how much they're sort of used and abused by the rest of the world, and they are just small and little and have to use that. So them be sort of good against sort of big people, whether they are big in size or big in sort of as tyrants. They're good at sort of working from their position against people
Now-
over them.
I know in Absalom they are the
Yeah.
second most represented ancestry in Absalom. I wonder if they're the second most represented ancestry in Galarian.
I think in the inner sea region, possibly. I believe it is mentioned they're not as common in Tian Xia.
I wonder why. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll find out. Maybe they'll
Yeah.
release.
There is stuff with like Iobara with the halflings, so it could be linked to that, but I'm not sure. But I think in the inner sea, at least, I wouldn't be surprised if they're the second most common.
And then, of course, humans get some cool stuff too.
Yes. So the Sense allies, like I cannot tell you how many times we've had a member of our party poisoned, invisible, on the floor, dying, and none of us can see him. has happened in our Age of Ashes game multiple times. Being able to tell where your allies are can be very useful because the invisibility doesn't drop when they die.
No.
So yes. So don't overlook that feat.
The best feat on this page, even though humans have a 17th level feat, is got to be the 9th level half elven feat, where you're just like, oh my god, am I dying fast? Am I dying slow? I'll just haste.
Just like, I don't understand time.
I don't get it. I don't know what's going on. Just let me get an extra attack in for a few minutes. It's fine.
So good.
Well, we've spent quite a bit of time on ancestries.
They were very good. I love
They are
the
very
ancestries.
good. A lot of new common backgrounds.
Yes, which I appreciate.
Just things that we're missing. Specifically, the barber, I think, is very important.
So good.
Yeah, it's a very good one.
I love it because I love that they've actually lent into the actual history. Because again, when this first came out, people were so confused. I saw multiple people like, why on earth does the barber have surgery? And it's like, why on earth do they have surgery stuff? And it's like, because they don't realize that historically barbers were surgeons, and surgeons were not considered doctors.
Yep.
Also, here in Britain, if you meet a surgeon, despite the fact that they are now technically doctors, they will never refer to themselves as like Doctor so and so. They will always call themselves like Mr. So and so, Miss So and so, Professor So and so. They will not use the term doctor almost entirely amongst surgeons in the UK because traditionally they were not allowed. They were not considered doctors. They were Mr. Butcher. That's the surgeon. And Mr. Butcher's like, okay, I'm Mr. Butcher. It's like, now you want me, now you respect me, but I'm still Mr. Butcher. And that's sort of the history of the barbers, is that they were just considered, like, you're good with a knife, you didn't have a degree, you know how to get into people. That's who the surgeons were, and I love that they've learned into that for the barber.
There were also dentists back in the day in the
It's
Wild West,
well,
for sure, yeah.
Anything that requires a blade, you're like, skilled hand, blade, that's me. It's like, and a bit of a haircut as well. I love that we have a teacher now.
I do love that we have teacher. Squire and Ward are very interesting backgrounds.
Ward I find confusing. Why are you trained in performance?
Because wards had to perform for their liege lords. It's like being a ward is most of the time it's a bad thing. If you're a ward, you were taken in war, and so
society makes more sense.
No, I don't think so.
Like I do find performance strange or deception. So yeah.
No. Nope.
No,
I think it's more that I think it's because it goes with the fascinating performance skill feat that they also get. Kind of like notice me.
I don't fully buy the ward one. I find that confusing. But most of the others here I really love. Coria was one of the ones that really caught me. I love like the idea of like starting a campaign and you're delivering a message, and that's how your character comes into it. Is that you've got a very important message to deliver, and you're just the Coria, and you're gonna embroiled in a like multi-nation war as you do.
I'm itching to use the insurgent background as soon as you guys release the Galt campaign AP, where I get to like end the revolution there.
See, the thing is, like, I want a Vidrian AP that's tied with Mzali, and Insurgent could work with Mzali as well. So.
Oh, we finally got rare backgrounds.
Yes. So this has changed the game. So much
Amnesiac
like
is pretty cool, except for the fact that if you don't have crafting, you're not going to make any money. Ever.
You don't need to make money. Cursed. You got your party to make money.
Cursed is really good.
Yeah, the big thing is, what's the curse, though? Like, your GM could be pretty hard.
And it doesn't matter when you spend a reaction, you get a +2 circumstance bonus to a saving throw. Good.
What if the curse is when you use that reaction, you die?
That's not a proper curse.
That sucks. No, yes, no.
That wouldn't be
the thing is,
proper.
A lot of these backgrounds, the point is, the reason they're part of they're rare is they require GM buy-in. For things like Cursed and Feybound, it requires a bit more work on the part of you and the GM to determine the exact specifics of it. And for the other ones, it's like, okay, this is going to change a few things. For things like royalty and stuff, it makes you quite a bit more important in the story. And for things like Haunted and Returned, it's like, and for all of them, they change the basis of what a background is. Before this, building a background had exactly the same thing for every single one. And it was really easy to create new backgrounds because of that. This is how we break the rules. So much like with the Orcs and the Tengu, they're like, this is how you've been used to them being built. Here's the different versions. This is like, I know that's how you're used to backgrounds being built. Here's the different ones. But they do require a lot of GM buy-in and do change the game a bit, which is why they're rare, and I appreciate that, because I do think it's good to have the standard stuff.
I wonder if they're ever going to release like Adventure Path specific unique backgrounds.
Yeah.
Like
See,
where only
I
one,
thought-
where like
yeah.
one person can only be the unique background, and then like
There
it's something
was
really
technically-
powerful.
In Plague Zone, technically only one player could be the Teamster, but
Yep.
that's not super powerful. But yes, no, I thought it was a real shame with the Slithering that they didn't introduce higher level backgrounds. Because this is our first one starting at high level, and I wonder if we'll get that with Ruby Phoenix, we'll see. Whereas I think it'd be really cool to have to come in where it introduces higher level backgrounds, and maybe they give you a couple of other things, and it's like, you are already a bit of an adventurer, you've already done a few things, this is your background. I think that would be a really cool one to introduce at some point.
You hear that, Paizo? Alice wants higher level backgrounds for making characters above first level.
I think it'd be cool.
I think it'd be cool too.
Yeah.
This picture though.
It's great.
But now we're on classes.
Yes.
The biggest part of this is going to be us trying to explain, I guess, our likes and dislikes or whatever about the 4 new classes. We will, after that, go over the newer stuff. I'm very excited to play an investigator. I'm more of a mechanics kind of person. I build a mechanically I build a mechanically capable character, and then I throw the role play into the bits and pieces that he's missing to explain it.
A lot of the time. Yeah.
So when I look at the investigator, they kind of almost rival the rogue in like where they fit in a campaign, but a lot of their feats are very game master dependent. Like if you have a really good game master, I think investigator can be a very enjoyable, fun, amazing class. If you have like a
shine with like a really good mystery focused GM,
I think
it does require buy-in.
As soon as you like just want to show up to a Pathfinder Society game and play with random GM 39752, that maybe a lot of this stuff isn't going to work as well.
I think it definitely requires GM buy-in. I think there's a lot here where it's like you have to work with your GM a lot. I'm almost surprised that wasn't like a sidebar with the investigator.
It should have
like,
been
we
a
have
sidebar.
the witch about the patron and sort of how to work with your GM about your patron, sort of what the different options are. I think there could be a bit more with investigator where it's like a lot of these require GM buy-in. Discuss how you want to go about this and stuff.
I mean, I can see amateur or just lower experienced GMs getting completely annoyed by an investigator player, because even the first level feat, that's odd. If you read that, like you walk into a room or corridor, you immediately notice one thing out of the ordinary. Now the game master has to determine that, and it has to be something that isn't obvious that everybody would see.
Yeah.
And you don't need to make a check. So, like, every time you enter a room or a new corridor, obviously the player who picked that is going to want to use that, and I feel like it's going to, it has potential to enter into the same realm as the Kinder meme, where you just want to steal everything in the room. Like, you want to always know. If you don't know anything about Kinder, you're lucky, Alice.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no, I definitely agree, and I think, it could be a difficult one for beginning GMs, but again, I think, if you want to play investigator, discuss with your GM. But I think if you do have a good one, especially one when you can work with, I think it can be really, really cool. And I think investigators can provide a lot, both in terms of mechanics and in terms of story.
I mean, I do like that they're not like alchemical characters like I think they were in first edition. They can be, but they're not just all like, that's not just, you're an investigator. Here's your half-assed alchemy. Yeah.
No, I really love the different little methodologies they have. I mean, forensic medicine is super powerful.
That's what I'm playing.
Medicine like once per hour, isn't it?
Yeah, which is the godless healing.
Yeah.
Well, but that's only for yourself, maybe.
Yeah, this is on everyone.
Yeah, this
you
is
just get
everybody.
to reset it every hour rather than every day. Like, that's powerful.
That's really good. Yeah.
And the interrogation, this is one I'm looking at, and I'm really, really happy they made it a lot more about being sort of sort of coercive and charming. Like, explicitly there's no torture involved. Like, the interrogator could be very unfortunate, and I think they very much explicitly made it not about torture at all. This is not you beat up your suspect until you get an answer. This is you ask a pointed question and make them accidentally slip up in their answer because you asked them a particular question. Like, I'm very happy about how they framed this so that it wasn't like really brutal.
So for an example, it would be when Black Widow talks to Loki in the Avengers movie.
Literally.
And figures out his plan.
Where you get him to admit what he's actually interested in, and you're like, there it is. Exactly. That's the style they're going for with the interrogator, which I appreciate that they went that route with it.
I mean, I'm like looking at the second and fourth level feats, and I mean, yeah, they're interesting, but I don't feel like there's just so much that you need a GM to just do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I do really like things like shared stratagem.
Shared stratagem can be really good.
Especially because you're probably going to be someone with a high initiative as an investigator. You've got really good perception. So you are probably going first. So you want to set up for your allies. So I like things like shared stratagem and things where you can almost act as the debuffer as an investigator.
That's exactly what I was thinking that it was. It's more of a skill-based debuff class. Like,
where you sort of break down. I mean, you can spend your turn, like, if you go first, you recall knowledge. You can get loads of stuff. You could make someone, like, flat-footed probably with recall knowledge with them. It's like you spend your turn setting up for your party with your knowledge, which I really like.
I do like shared stratagem.
Or
create a stratagem or whatever.
Yes.
As an ability. It's like you roll your d20 first.
Yes.
You have to use that d20 if you perform any kind of a combat strike.
But if you don't, you don't have to use it.
But you can look at it and be like, wow, that's a 1.
Well, so we're not using that.
I guess I'm going to battle medicine you this turn instead.
And like, you don't have to do that when you're next to someone, is the thing. Like, you could be like, oh, I want to attack them, let's see what will happen. And it's like, that's not great, I'm not going to go near them. Or it's like, oh, that's a nat 20, yeah, I'm marching over there. It's like...
It's a nat 20, I pick the rock up off the ground and throw it.
Yes, it's like, I don't care. But that's the thing I really like that they can, and I think they mentioned, like, a lot of, like, the Robert Downey Jr. style, like, Sherlock films, where you can sort of see what's going to happen, and you, like, plan it all out in your mind, and then do it. Is a lot what they would go for, and there's a lot of different sort of Sherlock Holmes interpretations baked into this, obviously. It's like, he is the sort of father of sort of investigation archetypes. And they sort of took different takes on him in this, and I think it was really cool how they implemented that, and especially the sort of seeing the next few seconds and reacting differently. So
I do hope that, and I mean, I didn't look too into high level because I want to kind of be surprised when I get to new levels, obviously. But I do hope that you can create a stratagem more than once per turn at some point. This only comes into play because if you're following a lead and what you're doing is in pursuit of that, then you do it as a free action versus a one action.
Yeah.
So I feel like, it's cool to use it as a free action, but not if you can still only do it once per turn because you're not going to make another attack probably. Because, I mean, you're not a big attack character, you know?
I think one of the big things is you probably want to be recalling knowledge a fair bit.
There's one I really like, and I can't find it now. It's where you just immediately make 5 recall knowledge.
Rapidly, level 12. Yes.
Is it?
So I believe one of the bards has this as well, where you just make 5 recall knowledge checks as one action. So yeah, you know the whole thing then.
Yeah, it's just roll 5 d20s and tell the GM you're going to look in the bestiary. That's what that should have just been called. Reason rapidly should have just been
show
like.
You're playing the bestiary.
Yeah,
here's here's the page.
Yeah, this is an Algula Cloth. It's on page 343 of the Bestiary 4. Just go ahead and peruse that real quick.
Also, I love the little coroner rat as the example build here. He's so cute.
Oh, just wait until you see the art I'm getting for my.
Tired.
Yeah, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. Oh, who's this? The chemist? No.
Yes.
Oh, there's your boy.
Yes, Korokai. So he's a pretty bird. He's a pretty boy. We like Korokai. He's a good boy as well. He loves his granddad.
I have a little experience. We have a player in our Age of Ashes game playing an oracle, and they're 13th level, and they have two gods and can't see past 20 feet or something. Um,
Flames.
yeah, um, it's very interesting.
No, I adore the Oracle. I think they've gone such a good route with this. Because I believe in 1E, it was the whole thing where the curses and mysteries weren't tied together. And so people would pick the best mysteries and the least impactful curses, and it was all about min-maxing. And I think it was such a smart decision in this one to tie them together. It's like, if you want this really powerful thing, you've got to take the really harsh curse that comes with it. And I love the give and take of the oracles, and that they are, like, and some of them are so punishing, but I think they are some of the ones that provide some of the best, like, character stuff. Like, you're just like, okay, yeah, why is, like, how does this affect my character? How did this happen? I think these make such good characters, the oracles. I think they're fantastic. Also, just in terms of like their sort of core stuff, there's a couple of very interesting things with them in terms of their leveling. One, they get the whole bit where they refocus for more focus points as a feature, not as a feat. They don't have to take feats to do that. They just get that as they level up. That's a core thing for them. They also get to start with 2 focus points. Like, they are so tied in. They get a lot of stuff focus. Obviously, the payoff is that any focus spell you cast is curse bound. Any oracle focus spell you cast is curse bound. That was a big change I liked from the playtest. Because in the playtest, for instance, if you archetyped into a bard and you picked up like a bard focus spell, that would still advance your curse.
And now
even
it doesn't.
though you got it from a different power, which didn't make sense. And I like now that they've created the curse-bound trait, and they've tied that to all the oracle stuff, and it's like, if you cast curse-bound ones, they increase your curse. But if you cast ones that you get the power from something else that isn't tied to your curse, they don't increase it. I think that makes much more sense, and I think that was a really smart idea to do it like that. So I like that a lot. And I also like that, I believe, like the sorcerers, they can replace material components with somatics. Because again, their power comes from within them. They're not like getting their power from a deity or from like learning. They just do it. So I like that there's a bit of a sorcerer tie in there.
I kind of feel like 3 of the 4 new classes are just like advanced classes, right? Like they've got a
Like
whole
the
lot more
advanced
to.
rogue, the advanced sorcerer kind of thing.
I don't even know that they're advanced rogue and advanced sorcerer. It's just that they seem to have a lot more information about like their specific things than.
Yes, there's a lot to the oracle. Like there are so many pages.
Yeah.
I haven't got to the feats yet. Like it's ridiculous. Like
I mean, the Oracle Curse is like almost an entire page.
literally, like to explain all this. No, I
Mystery
definitely
is
think it's not necessarily
also.
in beginner class.
Yeah, these are not beginner classes. This is not your fighter.
This is the advanced player's guide.
Um,
But no, the mysteries, and yeah, I was so glad they added, well, because obviously we only had 3 in the playtest, because they didn't want to show us all of them. And we got 8 already, which is really cool.
and I assume we will get 8 more at some point.
I hope so. We'll probably get a few more here and there.
They do, man. They have so many pages on the Oracle. It's.
Literally. Do you have a particular favorite mystery?
I haven't read them because I haven't decided to play one yet.
That's fair.
But
my
looking.
favorite is Cosmos. But
Cosmos, yeah, I've heard you say that over and over again. I hear a lot of people talking about Tempest.
Tempest is cool, but I mean, some people don't like that. Like one of the unique activations of its one of its mystery benefits is mostly through their focus spells. I kind of feel like that was the point.
I do know previously from Pathfinder 1, the Life Oracle there was the epitome of making all damage go away and your GM to just say combats were over because he couldn't hurt you. So
Not in this one.
it's not that good in this one?
This is probably the most punishing. It is great for your team. It is horrid for you. I know my sister really wants to play a Life Oracle because she's always really big into the idea of sacrificial characters, and that's exactly the Life Oracle lends itself so well. If you want to play a character who deliberately is about sacrificing themselves for others and hurting themselves to heal others, and that sort of give and take, fantastic. But do not go into this thinking they're going to be the best healers, and do not go into this thinking it's going to be easy peasy for you. Life Oracle is super punishing. The amount of damage you can take and the amount of healing you can't get means that you have to be aware of how you're playing the Life Oracle. But I think the actual, like, the flavor of it and, yeah, what you can play as the kind of character I really love. But no, and Cosmos is my favorite because yeah, just sorry, Space Girl. Like I love that kind of like drifting sort of ethereal nature. And as soon as I saw like Moonlight Bridge as one of their spells, I didn't even like look first at what Moonlight Bridge was. I was just like, I want somebody who casts Moonlight Bridge. Like any Moonlight stuff, I'm in. You got me. So yeah.
That was a power of the Lunar Oracle.
Yes.
Uh, in Pathfinder 1, which I consider the most powerful oracle in Pathfinder 1.
Yeah.
They got an
I
animal
think Cosmos
companion.
is possibly one of the most powerful in this one.
It might be.
Because, like, by the end of it, you are floating above the ground. You are pretty resistant to trip. You get powerful leap, quick jump, and cloud jump, all as free skill feats. You don't leave tracks. You don't trigger weight-sensitive traps. You don't connect with the floor at all. And your penalties are to strength. And it's like, you're not using strength. You are, like, vulnerable to grapples, shoves, and forced movements, and you're enfeebled. If you stay out of the way, that doesn't really matter. I mean, obviously, if they get to you, you're pretty screwed. But if you can stay out of the way, like, your powers are pretty strong, and that's not going to hurt you much. So I think, like, as a backline spellcaster, that's very powerful. The Oracle. But no, I love the ancestors. Just the idea of all the meddling, like, ancestors as well. It's so funny. Like, I don't even know like how great it is mechanically, but in terms of like the flavor of just all your ancestors fighting for like to tell you what to do. No, do it like this. No, do it like this. I think it's absolutely hysterical. I imagine there's going to be a few of them out there. So no, I think the mysteries are so cool.
I do believe that it fills a very needed spot in the Divine Caster.
Yes.
Being that I mean, yeah, sorcerers can be divine casters, but it's still just a sorcerer. You know what I mean? It's still just a sorcerer. You're just picking from a different
take on the divine power and sort of what it means to take divine power, almost bypassing the gods to steal their power and what that does to you. No, I think it's fantastic. I think probably one of their best feats is the level 4/1 divine access, where that's like, oh, you don't get the spells you wanted on the divine list. Okay, pick a god who's got your domain, any of them, get their spells. Or you can pick another one if you want. You don't have to worship them. You don't have to follow their anathema or their idiots. You are just stealing their power, and you just pick up their spells.
Yeah.
So, if you want particular spells that aren't on the divine list, you want to be taking that, and you can take it multiple times.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's nice. Obviously, you've still got to like keep in mind your repertoire.
Yeah.
If you did want particular spells.
We've talked about 2 of the 4 advanced classes. Let's talk about the one that isn't really advanced. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
You either have panache, or you don't have panache. And
I think they made it a lot clearer than like there was all the stuff like there were taunts and stuff in the playtest, which I think people were confused by. So they got rid of that and kept most of the rest of it, and people loved it. So.
You know, you get we get the finisher, which is a new trait for attacks. When you use it, you can't use any other attacks that round.
Well, makes
You're
sense.
done.
So yeah, it's the opposite of the open, which makes sense, being called a finisher.
So I mean, you could use an open, you could use a press, and then you could use a finisher.
Literally. So you got the whole thing, and and we got a couple new styles for them. I love there's some very cool stuff. Obviously,
In first edition, they were a 1-level dip so often, just for Arpatoon, Pari, and Repoussé. Now you can't even Repoussé until 3rd level, and
repulsed.
Yeah. In my French Canadian wife pronounced it Repoussé, so I pronounce it Repoussé.
That might be how they do it in Quebec.
Coup de grace is also how you say coup de grace.
Coup de grace.
That's how they say it. Coup de grace.
Coup de grace.
Coup de Gracie. I don't know. I like that it's not. Well, it couldn't be a dip class. You know, with the way that Pathfinder 2 does multi-classing. Yeah. But it's good to see a class that wasn't really carried deep in Pathfinder 1. But just like, you take a couple of pieces of it, and to see it made into a full class. But I I feel like this didn't need to be its own class. I
Yeah.
mean, I know why they made it its own class, but it feels like it could have been, I don't know, like
An archetype.
a new rogue thing,
Yeah.
you know?
I think it could have been, but I'll say, like, I get that it doesn't need to be in its own class, but I think it actually works really well as a class.
Yeah.
And I think they're like for just like a subclass, there would have been so much to it that isn't in a lot of like the other rogue subclasses. It's like, oh, you get this and this and this and this and this. It's like, wait, well, why don't the other rogues get this? So like, I do think like the idea of a swashbuckler could have been done through other ways. But I think the swashbuckler class that they've made actually works really well. I don't think it's like out of place. I don't think it's an issue necessarily like think it needs to be filled, but once it's there, I actually do like it.
I just wonder though if a thief rogue going into the duelist background, which we talk about in the other
Yeah.
one, is a better swashbuckler.
I think it depends what you want out of your swashbuckler.
I don't know.
Because
Getting dex to damage is pretty
oh,
important.
absolutely, but remember, not all of us are like DPR. Like for me, one of the things I want to do is playing a battle dancer,
Yes.
and but we finally have another class that effectively uses performance, which I think is nice for
This is
other
very
than the
true.
bard. So we finally like if you want to be a performance class, you don't just have to be a bard. We actually have another class that uses performance in combat, and I think one of my favorite ones is for the leading dance, where you can make your opponent dance with you, and you do a performance check against their will DC to take them across the battlefield with you, as you sort of spin them round as you take them along, which I absolutely think is fantastic. And I love that we actually implement performance outside of bards in a way now. And I think that's something that I can't do with Thief.
I do wonder though if fighter with swashbuckler dedication can be a better swashbuckler.
Possibly. I haven't looked too much. I will say
I didn't look
the
at it, but I'm thinking
archetype
about
of
it. A
swashbuckler.
dex based fighter.
I think in terms of being able to hit better, sure.
Oh yeah, for sure you're going to hit
Well,
better
yeah,
because you get
because
legendary
that's
yeah,
the fighter.
that's the
the
fighter.
point.
Yeah, they
But
started
again, in
expert and move
terms
up from
of
there.
like the flavor, and in terms of if you want a specific kind of swashbuckler, perhaps not, because again, I don't know if I'd be able to be a battle dancer as a like. Do you get to pick a style? Can't
I don't know.
remember.
I don't
So,
know.
yeah.
Maybe we cover that in the second part, but I don't think we do.
I don't know. I don't think we looked at the archetype, the multi-class dedications much. Too excited about all the other stuff. The archetype's very
It's-
exciting. So,
It is pretty cool though. I mean,
it is. I love the after you feat as well. Like I think there's so much like funny flavor
after
here.
you is funny.
It's like after you. Oh no, please, you go first. Like I do love like I think that's one of the things that really sort of won the swashbuckler over for me is there is a lot of sort of this flamboyance to it that is expressed through the feats, and I also love her outfit. It's so cool. But no, like as soon as you see her, this is the fancy fighter. Like when you like
do
the first thing you
wonder-
open.
Have you looked deep into it? Are there things that trigger off of after you later that make it?
I don't.
I mean,
For me-
you already gain panache, which is just fine. You're like, oh man, I'm going into combat with no
Yeah.
panache. I guess I'll just
I
go
get
after
panache.
you.
Yeah, I think that's the idea of it.
Yeah. But I
And
just
of
wonder
course,
if
again,
like
you get that like what I'm saying again before with the investigator. It's like swashbuckler is going to work a lot better against things like flat-footed foes.
Yep.
Where so you get your investigator, you say
Just
no,
like a
after
rogue,
you.
yeah.
He goes first. He flat-foots them for you. You don't want to go first. You want your
Right.
debuffers to go first. You then come in afterwards and strike them. So I think it puts you where you want to be in the initiative order and gives you your extra panache already.
I mean, I do really like that they get a lot of things to add to their finisher.
Yes, they get different finishes. So and like we actually have like the targeting finisher, like because I know for some people like they come into certain games and they're like they want to target certain parts of the body, and like this is a way to do that where it's like you can say which part of the body you want to target with your strike and get effects from that. And we don't have too many feats that do stuff like that, especially ones like sometimes we have a feat that's like you hit someone's leg and do this. This one lets you pick a few, so I like that. Because I know that's something some people really like, where they're like, oh, can I hit them on the head to do this? And you're like, well, there's not really a mechanic for that. And provides a way, like, if you want to do that, play this.
I think dual finisher is really good.
Where's this one? There it is.
It's a level 8 dual finisher.
Ooh, yes, that's nice.
I mean,
That's,
2
again,
attacks with no
I love
penalty.
the idea. It's like you sort of like swing through 2 different foes and chop them both down. Again, like you can imagine the swashbuckler in a fight. You
Yep.
can immediately be like, yeah, this is you're just munching them dancing around things. You think of like styles of things like Legolas doing the little like punch up thing and things like Puss in Boots and everything. Like a lot of it, like the really like dramatic fighting is exactly the kind of vibe you get from everything with the swashbuckler, and I love that.
They do
I
got
really
a
like.
perfect finishers. Which just gives you true strike.
Yep.
I do believe that this is the easiest of the advanced classes.
Yes, I think if you wanted to pick up one of them to start with, it's the better one.
I mean, I think tactically, like once you get on the battle map and you're trying to move around and do all this stuff, it probably becomes very difficult. If you're doing like Mind's Eye Theater, though, like this class,
do get increased speed.
yep.
I think this is something a lot of people have missed. They're like the monks, in that they do get a lot of speed. So I will say you might find that actually maneuvering around the battlefield is easier for you than for some others.
Yeah, but I mean, just putting all your like feats and stuff together to make, you know, the really cool cinematic stuff work,
Yeah.
is going to require like some kind of a battle mat, tactical kind of thing. But this class could easily just be played as these are the mechanical benefits that it gives, and I just walk up and do my mechanical benefits, and it won't be an underpowered class, and
Yeah.
and then it won't
You can
be
easily set up a nice little combo.
yeah, and it won't take hours and hours and hours of you like just sitting down and theory crafting like all your movements out to use. So I guess it's got a low bar for entry and a high bar for perfection,
Yeah.
whereas the other ones have a higher bar for entry.
Yeah. So
Much closer to their perfection bars.
high skill cap to the swashbuckler,
Yep.
but a nice low entry. I agree. I think, yeah, if you are a new player and you really want to play one of the new classes, the swashbuckler is probably
The
better one.
easiest to pick up. Yep.
Yeah.
Because I mean, all you really got to do is figure out: do I have panache or do I not have panache?
I
mean,
the
that's-
question we all ask. Do I have mash? Do I not? If you want to play Lord Farron, you play a swashbuckler. So,
And then we get to
witch.
the witch.
So yes, this is the class I wanted.
She is the second least clothed character in Galarian.
Yes.
Iconic. After Sela. No, not Sela.
No, Sila's fully clothed.
Sela's the paladin.
Sione.
Yeah, Sela's Sione. There we go.
Dressed up.
Yeah. Woo. Man, there's so the witch can use any spellcasting.
Yeah, it's changed from the
Tradition.
playtest. They let them have divine, which I'm happy about.
You know, everything is based on it seems to be based on hexes and your familiar.
Yeah.
You had mentioned something to me about when your familiar dies now, you don't absolutely just bite the big
No.
one.
Because yeah, in the playtest, if your familiar died, like it was so harsh. You lost like multiple of your spells, and like it only came back after like a week, I think, and it was just awful. And it's just like until that point you're useless. And so now they like I think a lot of people are like, "What? This is ridiculous. Like if our GM targets our familiar, that's it, we're done." So they're like, "Okay, we've made it like way nicer now. Not only do you get an extra hex to help your familiar, you have like extra familiar feats to protect your familiar with things like lifelink, but also your familiar just comes back the next morning with absolutely no penalties." I do wish there was almost a little bar in there that was just like, but it's annoyed, or your patron is a little bit pissed off at you. That there's still like something that's like, probably don't do that. But I do appreciate that it's not just like, oh yeah, you're completely,
Yeah, you're just completely boned for the rest of
out
this.
of the game now.
Yeah, for the next
Your
AP,
GM is me.
just- I hope you had a swashbuckler made up to play while your witch is trying to get their.
But yeah, so no, I think they made the familiar stuff so much less harsh, which I do appreciate. But I do wish there was almost a flavor line that's like, your family's a bit pissed off at you. But no, and
And I
do
mean,
them.
you have a ton of patron themes, which are kind of like your sorcerer bloodlines, how they work. I do know that the Legends book that came out, Lost Omens Legends,
extra
does have an extra one on good old
I
Baba
think everyone
Yoga.
was expecting that. Yes.
Baba Yoga.
Yoga.
Yeah.
We need the Yoda theme. But no, No, I think the thing's really cool, and yeah, I will say, yeah, I know there was a lot of debate about whether they should get access to all 4 lists, whether they should be a cult only, whether they should be 3 lists and not divine. I'm really happy with the direction they took, and I know one of the big sticklers was divine, because again, one of the big questions for everyone was like, if you are a divine witch, why aren't you just a cleric? If a god is granting you powers, why aren't you just a cleric? And it's just as like with things like the Dhampir Leshy, that's what I love about a character. It's you're like, yeah, why? Why aren't I a cleric? Like, I have already made myself like a divine witch, and the idea of her is that she's an half elf who worships Fyndled Lara. Fyndled Lara only answers the prayers of elves and explicitly rejects everyone else. So I could not be a cleric of Fyndled Lara, and I got it that she is so devoted that Fyndled Lara is almost allowed a little loophole where she gives her powers through the familiar, through someone else, and I am not allowed to be her cleric, but I can be a witch. And it's like, I got through that because of things like the witch, and it's things like that where that creates interesting stories where you're like, yeah, it doesn't make sense that I'm not a cleric. Why would that be? And that's, again, that's the questions that really make characters, and I love it when you have to ask those questions and you have to answer those questions. I think that's what makes characters. So
I mean, if I was making a divine witch, I probably would not choose a deity as my patron. I would probably choose like some powerful otherworldly thing
yep.
That isn't godhood, that can't give powers to clerics, right? Like, yeah, as you know, Asmodeus can give power to clerics, but can every devil and demon in the hells give power to clerics? No, but they definitely can, you know, write up a contract and give you all kinds of powers for your soul at the end of the world, you know?
That's immediately another way that you could do it, and I love that.
Or, you know, maybe, you know, a Dusk Walker witch that is given their powers by psychopomps because they get more than just a reincarnation.
And their power tends to be divine.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're technically not like gods. So you're not a cleric, you're not worshipping anyone in particular.
Yeah.
You're just powers from the boneyard. And yeah, exactly. That's exactly the kind of thing that you have to answer those questions and you come up with ideas. And I love that. So I'm really, really happy that they added divine. But I'm happy that we do have all of them and that they do focus more on occult and primal because I feel like that's what people want. Like, I will say, like, yeah, because obviously what a lot of people want is a Swamp Witch, and they got rid of the Swamp Witch which I'm very, very sad about.
Man, I'm getting so many ideas for how this divine thing. I don't understand how people had problems with it. What if you're an Azamir, anything, and you're a witch, and it's just your great
becoming divine? Yeah.
Yep.
Or just whatever power you get ends up accidentally becoming divine. Like, or maybe your patron didn't even mean to give you divine spells.
Yeah, it's not even your.
You're an Asmar. It changed.
It's like your parent. It's like, you know, someone in your direct, like that you're a descendant of, right?
Yeah,
like
I think there's really cool stuff you can do with the witch. It's like, and I love that. Like, again, like I said, I wish there was a bar for the investigator. We do have a nice little bar for the witches because I know, like, I'm prepping the campaign at the moment, and my witch was like, am I allowed to know my patron? Like, what are the rules here? I'm like, the rules, whatever you want them to be, we can discuss this. So, and I'm so glad that they made this clear, where it's like, you and the GM work together. You can be like, no, I don't know who my patron is, nor does my character. It's completely up to you. Not only that, but you get to choose my theme and lessons, and I have to guess who it is. That's one way you could do it. Or you can be like, no, I've got it planned out, but my character doesn't know, but I've got it planned out. Or you can be like, I know, my character knows. It's fine. Or you can like work with your GM and work out together what it is. Like, there's so many different ways you are allowed to build your patron with your GM, and I'm so glad it lays that out clearly to clean up any confusion or like struggles between you and the GM. Where it's like, no, there's no rule. It's not like, oh, they say you don't know your patron in this flavor text, so you don't know your patron. You can't know them. It's like, no, you can if you want.
Yeah.
So a lot of witches don't, but you can. And I'm so glad they made that clear because I think that's a really, really good sidebar. Because yeah. I do want to do different things with the witches with different relationships to patrons. It's like, do you know, is it amiable? Like, is this a pact? Is this something you're even aware of? Like, I think it provides a lot of different kinds of witches, even outside of mechanics, which I really like.
Do you know what I like?
What?
That you can't use cackle all the time.
Yeah, they've changed cackle. I think some people just didn't like the flavor. Like, I'm not playing a cackle witch, I'm playing like a really serious witch. Why is this a cool feature? I think was one of the big reasons they moved it. Whereas some people are still like, I want to play a witch who cackles. Like, come on. So it's still there, but yeah, it has changed because very sadly for barbarians, you can no longer use it to sustain the spells when raging, because that was sort of one of the big things for it in the playtest, was that it did not have the concentrate trait. So it was a way to sustain without the concentrate trait. So that was a big thing for barbarians. That's gone now. It does have concentrate. The big thing now is that it's a free action, which means witches make very good early level summoners, because they can summon, next turn cackle summon, to sustain without needing another action, whereas it takes 3 actions to summon. So that is one of the big niches for witches now, is they're one of the best early level summoners.
They might be the best early level
summoner. Yeah, literally
summoner.
right now. I mean, we're gonna wait when Summoner comes out. It'll probably eclipse it, but right now, in terms of
I have a
early level
feeling
summoners,
that the regular summoner is just going to have something else. I feel like they're going to have a
should be too much of
companion.
playtest.
Yeah,
I
I just feel like they're going to have a familiar based animal companion where they pick and choose powers to build it, and then they're probably just going to be able to maintain one summon while they're doing that or something.
Yeah.
They might not even be able to
We'll have
pull
to
out
see.
2 summons, which would
Yeah.
still make them worse summoners than witches.
Literally, the fact
Except for the fact that they summon some weird thing that they precisely want
if you want
anytime.
a human witch at level 1, you can have 2 summons on the board.
I don't
which is
even think you have to be
incredibly
human, do you?
to get a first level feat as a witch.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah.
see.
Because you're a spellcaster, you don't get a first level feat. But if you're a human witch, you can be at level 1 with 2 summons on the board.
Otherwise, you would have to
I
be
don't
level
think
2.
anyone else can do, literally. But I still don't think anyone else can do it at level 2. So yeah. So I think that's if some people are wondering what the point of Cackle is now, that's the point of Cackle. But no, I wish we had more lessons. I know we do get another extra one in Legends, but we will probably get more. But I'm just like, I really want more lessons to like expand certain characters. Like I'm playing, well, I've got planned out a Rune Witch, who's a lot about language, and it's like there isn't really a lesson for that I can really take, which is a shame. Whereas like for my Finland Lara Witch, she's all about protection, lesson of protection, lesson of snow. She's a lot easier to build. So I feel like some witches, it can be tricky right now because we don't have many lessons. Obviously, you don't actually need to take lessons, but it'd be nice if we got some more. I will say, having a look at some of the hexes, I hadn't really clocked this one before. I was looking at Lesson of Shadow, and they get the Malicious Shadow hex. This is so powerful. You get this like shadow that like follows the enemy around and constantly melee attacks them, and you can just sustain it and control it. And you can stand back and just have their shadow completely harassing them, which I absolutely adore. I was like, oh, now I need to make a witch who has Lesson of Shadow because I really want this spell. So yeah, so I've already made like 3 witches, I think. I think the witch is great. I am sad about the Swamp Witch feat going, but I am glad the hag stuff went, because there was like Coven ability and stuff with witches, and that's gone now. So I'm happy about that.
Is the witch the only class that gets a feat that gives them an extra 10th level spell slot?
No, every
Okay.
single spellcaster gets that. Every single spellcaster gets that at level 20. That's
Okay.
a big thing for them. One of my favourite witches feats that we do get is the Witch's Charge and Witch's Communion, where you basically become the mother hen, and you almost become a patron to others. And it's like you are the mother hen; these are your little ducklings, and you are just like carting them around and trying to look after everyone. And I love that, the sort of like motherly witch figure. So I think those are some of my favourite witch feats. And I love this hedge witch. And again, I'm really glad they did a sort of very good male witch. That they made it clear this is not just like a female class. This isn't like witches as in like magic women. This is a witch is a particular class in this. It is not a gendered thing. He is a witch. So is the I don't know what her name is, the core witch. But she's got a funky fox, so we like her.
I do like that a witch can get their own hut.
House. It's great. Everyone wants the hut. No, it's so good. And you can get the little chicken legs and everything. No, if you do want the whole Baba Yaga fantasy, yeah, you can get that. But,
Or you could just actually get the hut of Baba Yaga.
yeah,
I think you don't you get it in Reign of Winter?
I don't know. I haven't played it. I'm sorry.
Pretty sure you get it in Reign of Winter.
But no, I really like that again for my Finland Lara Witch. Plays him very well.
So going over the core classes
Yes.
before we run too long here.
Yep. But the 4 new classes are great. So yeah.
We got a new research field for the alchemist.
Yes. Very appreciated for everyone, because people were like, yeah, we don't have anything for poisons right now, so this, I think, was a little bit expected, but I'm glad it's there.
We got healing bombs.
Healing bombs, I love. Yes, my Tyrogen is going to be picking that up. Like, that's so nice. You can actually, like, I love the, like, thematics of it, and the fact that you can keep it a bit more safe in combat as a Tyrogen, and just throw bombs at people.
Anything else with the alchemist that really stood out?
Perpetual breath, a lot of people consider to be the saving of the alchemist thing, because this lets you, even if you're not a bomber, level up your bombs properly and be good, so it doesn't, like, if you're a Trojan, you're not screwed at later levels with attacking. So I think a lot of people think perpetual breath has basically saved alchemists apart from the bomber, because before bomber was one of the only really viable ones, especially at later levels. Because you couldn't get perpetual fusion stuff for the bombs and get high level bombs. But now you can, even if you're like a chirurgeon or a toxicologist. So I think that's a bit of a must.
Okay. So you hear that, guys. You don't have to be bombers anymore.
No, play chirurgeon. Let's go. Rahadumi.
We did get a new barbarian instinct.
The barbarian's got so many cool things.
The biggest thing is going to be friendly toss. I know you want to go over it.
Yes,
go ahead.
No, I love this because, again, I think friendly toss. I think along with if you look at the catfolk names, and if you look at the monk key spell key form, what I love about these three things is they are clear shout outs to their audience. It's like, you know what this is. This is you pick up your friend and throw them. Maybe you're metal and he has claws, and it's just like. The whole point of this is, like, we know you're nerds. We know this is your fantasy. Here it is. And I love that there's almost an apologetic nature to it. Like, the key form is so blatant. Like, it's so blatantly Super Saiyan. And this is so blatantly...
well, you get to be Bruce Lee, too.
Yeah, literally. Like,
you get the one-inch punch,
they are like, we know this is your fantasy. We know you're nerds. Here it is. And I love that they're not ashamed of that. And they're just like, yeah, here it is. Here it is. We know you want this. And I know a lot of people are going to be very happy about that.
I mean, they
really
did get
feet as well, friendly toss.
Yeah,
like, it's
it
really
is.
Good.
I think. Are they the only class that got a new?
Size?
Are they the only one that got a 20th level feat? Did Alchemist?
No, I believe most of the new classes got a 20th level feat. I don't think the Alchemists did, but a fair few did, because I know we had something about the monks one.
Oh yeah, monks definitely get one.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll get to that. But no, I think the Barbarian got some really, really cool stuff. So. I think they were one of the big winners in this.
Unbalancing sweep. I mean, a lot of 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I mean, Sunder Spell. Just listen to the name, Sunder Spell. Like, what does that even do?
Throw, barreling charge. It's like, oh,
impaling thrust.
Tell me.
Penetrating projectile.
Not a good enough reason to use the word penetrating. But no, and I think their 20th level feat's really nice as well. So that's one I really liked. But no, so I think I love impressive landing as well for the barbarians. Again, superhero landing style, where you like if you fall, you can react. You land on your feet, and like everyone around you takes bludgeoning damage as you crack the ground underneath you and hit them all, which is so good. You just like leap down. So I mean,
shattering blows, especially stacked with the Devastator class feature. Ooh, ignore 10 points of an object's hardness.
Yeah.
Start ripping arms off of golems.
Yes. No, again, I think it was specific in some ways, but very useful in those situations.
So you probably don't see how that's I mean, it does say objects here, so it probably wouldn't work against a golem. In my opinion, it should.
Yeah.
Because that reminds me of Wolfgar from the R.A. Salvatore book series, and where they were fighting an iron golem, and he's so strong, he was like bending it into like weird shapes, fighting it.
I think cool bards.
Get to be a warrior bard, yeah.
Yes, got the skull now, so I'm very happy about. So yeah, and this lets them picks up the feat immediately. You get trained in all martial weapons, which opens up the martial archetype for bards, which I think makes a fantastic one, because as a battle commander, as a sort of battle bard, works brilliantly. So I think that's deliberately for that.
I mean, you gain the fear spell. All martial weapons.
And you get a lot of cool little feats for the warrior bard, as well as some of the other bards as well. where you can like give people extra strikes as part of your inspire courage and everything. I think I think the warrior bard's really cool. I think it's one of the best new subclasses in here.
Do they ever get master rank with their weapons?
I believe they'll get master rank with oh wait, well, the martial performance only gets them up to expert, so possibly not. Unless there's a later one. I haven't looked at all the stuff, so no, they're not going to be as good as like an actual martial class for martial thing. But one of the big things is the martial is one of the big reasons I love that they just get trained in all weapons, because I think a warrior bard martial is fantastic. And obviously, yeah, you were asking about level 20 feats. Don't forget the ultimate polymath for the bard, where they turn into the signature spells for everything.
Oh yeah.
So they don't they get that type of spell casting. So,
I mean, Pied Piping though.
Pied Piping's nasty, man. It's so nasty. It's terrifying.
I mean,
like, that story messes me up, man. Like,
the Pied Piper, yeah, where he made all the rats go and then they wouldn't pay him, so he took them all too. Like, whatever,
and, like,
man.
what actually happened? Because we don't know what actually happened. Hamlet, all the children went.
No.
We don't know. So it's like, that's the story, but we don't actually know what happened in Hamlet. In the place. So yeah.
Maybe
it's creepy.
Maybe they paid him at the end and he gave the kids back.
Oh dear. So
yeah.
So they lean into some of the like eerie stuff with some of the bards here as well as some of the more.
I mean, there should be evil bards.
Oh, absolutely, and I think the bard lends itself well to evil stuff, but you can still be a good bard.
Yeah, you know a Pied Piper bard is probably evil.
Yes, it's like, I think it's quite hard to do that on a good. Pick up the ultimate polymath instead. That's some good stuff.
All right, you ready? You ready?
The evil champions.
Evil champions.
Everyone's been asking for it.
There's only one good evil champion. I hate to tell you.
It's really good though. I mean,
it's
evil.
really good, and it's evil, and it's Tyrant. The rest of them are
good.
The rest of them are so bad in comparison.
I think it's not helped by how good the Tyrant is. Like, the flavor of it all is fantastic. Like, the thing where they make it so that instead of like, they're like the Redeemer reaction, where you get a choice. But the choice in this one isn't hit them or not, it's kneel or not. They say kneel. And if you kneel, you're okay. But if you don't, you take mental damage. They harm you for not listening. Like, that is so evocative of exactly what a Tyrant should be. Like, that is horrifying. Like, I am making an enemy Tyrant for my players. Like, I won't play evil stuff, but I'll show it as an enemy. And, like, stuff like this is exactly the kind of thematic, like, that is so good. I love it.
I mean, I already made an orc sorcerer for your game, or I would make a lawful evil champion.
I have no evil rules.
Ah. See, now you're just
No
making
fun
it not fun.
No, but I think, yeah, the Tyrant is just fantastic. I wish we had a different name for the Anti-Paladin.
Yeah.
It's like the Anti-Paladin. It's like, I feel like they should have their own title independent of the Paladin.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's a holdover from 1E where you have the Paladin and the Anti-Paladin, they were the classes. Now they've changed it to the Champions. So they kept the Paladin, which makes sense. I don't think they needed to keep the Anti-Paladin.
Like a destroyer.
But no, and then, yeah, the whole argument right now is what about neutral champions? So, because I think, yeah, one of the problems they're discussing is how do you make somebody who's committed to neutrality, like, so zealously.
Well, one of them is not committed to neutrality. One would be committed to law, and another would be committed to chaos.
That's the thing. I think lawful neutral and chaotic neutral you very much could do, and I think what would be interesting is tenets of law and chaos, where you have different tenets and you have a sort of a different version of the lawful good and lawful evil, chaotic and chaotic evil as well. I think that could be an interesting way to do it, but I think true neutral is the real problem. How do you do that? I
personally feel like a sentient, sapient creature can't be truly neutral.
Yeah, I think that's getting into
because animals, animals are true neutral because they can't think, they can't.
Instincts,
Yeah, they don't
No,
know
I
that
think
they're.
it's tricky, and I think I would argue, I believe there are some characters who I would consider true neutral. I think again, yeah, if we apply it to real world mechanics, a lot of things fall apart in terms of alignment, because alignment is a simplified way of looking at things, and it is for games. But I think there is a role for true neutral characters, and I think they could be interesting. But I think it is difficult to do a true neutral champion. And I think it'd be interesting to see how it was done. But
I mean,
I
I would
don't
have
think
to
I think
even look and see what true neutral deities would even need a champion. Because is anybody messing with a true neutral deity? Like,
Nephis and Pharasma and everything. Everyone's staying away.
well, isn't Pharasma lawful neutral though?
Nope, she's true neutral.
Yeah,
She
nobody's
allows
messing with
for a
her.
neutral follower, but she's true neutral. Nephthys is true neutral. Goldthray is true neutral. And that can be an interesting one. I
Well,
think true neutral can work for
so
druidic types.
no, not really, because Pharasma is all about death, which you have no power over technically.
Yep.
That's why the people that try and take
Yep.
power over death is her number
Yeah,
one
that's
enemy.
the big problem. Yeah.
And
It's
then
just like, this just happens.
there's no true power over magic other than, trying to get power of magic.
Yep.
So, and then
And
Gozer's
then
like
nature.
the power of
Yep.
nature, and nature
So
in
yeah,
and
a
of
lot of it
itself
like
is
forces that you can't do anything about.
yeah that you
It's
can't
like,
really
there
control.
isn't. No.
They're,
So, yeah,
they
it-
exist whether you're good or bad, or
Yep.
you obey the law or
They
you
don't care about it,
Yeah.
literally. They don't care about any of that. They are just a force that exists. No, and I think that is interesting.
So I don't know. It's always fun to try and make a true neutral character, but I can't see it. I really can't.
I think it's one of the most difficult to do. I think it can be done, but I think it does require quite a lot of understanding and is difficult to do. So yeah, so just play chaotic good. Help everyone have fun.
I think chaotic good is probably what. I don't know.
It's probably one of the most popular. I don't necessarily know if it's the most popular, but it's probably up there.
Well, neutral good is pretty. I mean, now we're talking about alignment instead of classes,
Yeah.
but
There's-
neutral good is probably the most good because
That's
it's
the idea.
only
is that
good.
They are just about good.
Lawful good is in a way it's you have to put law before good because breaking the law is
Yeah,
seriously
I would
chaotic.
argue that the point of lawful good versus lawful neutral is that lawful neutral puts law before good, lawful good puts good before law, but believes that law is the way to enact good.
I don't think
once
so.
you start putting the law first, that moves you to lawful neutral.
If you ever get a chance to play Pathfinder Kingmaker, which I hope you do.
I've played the video game.
Yeah. If you take the lawful good options in there, the writers of that game have the same view on lawful good that I have.
I think that's the whole thing. Alignment is its own thing. Let's move on for now.
So.
Right. I will say Desperate Prayer. I'm so happy about because I think it's
Desperate prayer.
Liberators. Like the Liberator reaction isn't as upgrade isn't as strong as some of the others. The actual reaction is good, but the upgrade I don't really want, and the domain spell I wasn't really using because I want to use Lay on Hands. So there wasn't really a first level feat for me that really stood out as a champion. Desperate Prayer stands out. That's very nice. So I've already remade my or not remade my champion, but edited a couple of things, and I've got Desperate Prayer now, which I've already used to save someone. So yes, so that is
It's a good. I mean, if it were a
Good
higher
feat.
level feat, you would want
whatever.
a smaller cooldown on it. But at first level, I think once a
literally.
day is
First
good.
level, I'll take that. Let's
Yeah. I think
reaction to regain it.
if this were like a 13th level ancestry feat, maybe do you get one at
Yeah.
13th?
Yeah.
It could be a once per hour thing.
Yeah, but I think as a first level class feat.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So it's like I'll happily take that. But no, so I'm glad. Yeah, obviously we've got the uncommon tag on all of the evil feats, which again I appreciate because yeah, like I run games where I have a no evil rule, and that's just how I run the games. And I know some people have games where they allow evil characters so they're understood, and some people play full evil campaigns, and there's room for that. And that's not the game I want to play, but I understand that there are other people who do want to play that game. But I'm glad that it's the uncommon tag because it is like this is something you need to discuss. This is something you need to be clear with your GM whether this is allowed, because it's not always allowed. Not everyone wants that in their game, and so I'm very glad. Again, I think the uncommon and rare tags are so good just for like being clear about when you need to discuss and what might not be acceptable on all tables, and I really like that. So, but again, I am glad it's here though to expand the options. And I'm glad we've got some options that aren't evil as well.
I would have liked to have seen true neutral be an uncommon alignment. and then the evils just be rare.
Yeah, just in general, yeah.
Yeah, that way. I mean, you could even make lawful neutral and chaotic neutral uncommon. Then a game master could just be like,
Yeah.
no uncommon alignments, no rare alignments.
Yeah.
Or they could say, yeah, you can have uncommon alignments. Or they could
Yeah.
say, yeah, you can have rare alignments.
That's fair.
I think that would have been a really
we
good
don't
thing.
really have any traits for the alignments, I guess is the problem.
Yeah.
But I do like that. I can just be like, yeah, no evil ancestry, no evil characters. That's the rule.
So when we get to the cleric, you get to rapid response, and you realize every cleric probably needs that.
It's so good. It's so good. Like every cleric's like, oh my gosh. I mean, especially any like heal cleric. If you're a war cleric, you might be like, yeah, you'll be fine. But,
No. You use it on the war cleric too.
Yeah, you use it to move towards an enemy, and you look
Yeah.
like you're going to help them, and then you're like, "Cool, I'm next to him. Cool, I fight him, bro."
You get next to your down party member and beat the snot out of whatever was harassing
It's
them.
great. No, rapid response is fantastic.
It is
I love
great.
that.
Oh, it's so good. Oh,
But no, and again, if you like your sacrificial characters, we have the martyr feat now. If you don't want to be quite as harsh as the life oracle, but you still want a little bit of that harm yourself to heal others, I think I like the little martyr ability to do that kind of thing.
I mean, have you looked at magic hands?
Which
Your
one's
medicine checks are just automatically max healing.
That's very nice.
Yeah, it's
You
just
have to
16
note the
or
divine
32.
Trait, though.
Yep.
So for you, that would suck. For your,
Well, no, I'm
godly
not.
healing.
I'm not anti-divine
No,
anymore.
no, but for you, Jaren.
He's not
for the godly
anti-divine anymore. He doesn't
Oh,
have
isn't
that.
he? He's got rid of that. But for anyone who is playing stuff with like godless healing, where you can't have divine healing, do note that this gets the divine trait when you do that.
It's not you can't worship a god for godless healing. The one you're talking about is mortal healing,
Mortal healing,
which
my bad.
requires you to be like, nah.
No divine.
No,
like,
you-
that's the full Rahadumi. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, godless healing is just no patron deity, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, ebb and flow was really good.
Yes, that was a cute one. No, they got some cute new stuff with their fonts. I think the clerics really like. So, yeah, look at Kyra here. She's got a flaming scimitar and everything.
In her offhand for some reason.
She's ambidextrous.
Is she?
She is now.
Was she ever right-handed? Was she even right or left-handed? Did they
no
ever
idea.
say?
I have no idea. I'm so sorry. I just know her and Mauricio are adorable.
I kind of feel like she should be right-handed, and they flipped the picture because it looked better on that side of the
Possibly.
page.
Yeah, that's very likely.
Yeah, because of the the index and glossary index thing. Yeah. Druids.
Druids.
Verdant weapon.
Really I love Verdant Weapon. I think it's really cute. I think that there's a lot going on that people aren't necessarily noticing. Like, not only the being able to reduce it and grow it. Like, imagine you're like a rat folk with cheek pouches. Just put your little seed in there. Sneak in somewhere. You've got your staff in there. So yeah, so I love that. But also, I think one of the things people are missing as well is that it's a primal focus. So you can have a two-handed staff that you're using to beat people up. You need to cast a material spell. You don't need to be letting go of your staff and getting something out. You can stay with your two-handed on your staff and use that as your primal focus for spell casting. So I think some people have kind of missed that is actually quite powerful, especially for a first level feat.
I mean, at 10th level, the bad boy counts as cold iron and silver. So
literally. Like, I think this is a really nice little thing for the druids, being able to really sort of lean into your staff. So I really like that. A reactive transformation is just ridiculously good.
is that higher
Love
up?
that. Yes, that's the 14th level
Oh.
on the next page. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is the one where you get to react, and if something happens to you, like you can turn into a form that helps against that, and then you're in that form. So you got to wild shape as a reaction in order to reduce something happening to you. Like, that's great.
I think Primal Aegis is amazing.
Which was this one? Yes.
Ugh.
Gosh. Like, to all of them, it's not just like pick one.
No, it's all of them.
It's all of them. Like,
And it should be like 7 resistance to all of them by that level, because surely by that
Literally.
level you've got.
You've got good wisdom. Literally, you're a druid.
I would assume you're at 24 wisdom with an apex item by, well, maybe not until 20th level.
Yeah.
You would be.
And even if you're not, like, you'll take it.
You should be
even
plus
if you-
6 though for sure.
Yeah, literally. Like, you'll take that. And it is the fact, like, I thought you'd have to, like, choose one of them, and it was like, oh no, and you get all of them. And everyone's just resistant to all of them. That's great. So no, so I like that a lot. And with the Wandering Oasis as well, I really like this whole idea of like you were sort of the beacon of your team, that everyone around you is sort of protected. I really like that as sort of just in terms of the flavour of the druid, that you're almost the guardian of the team. Again, ties nicely again with the witch as well, where there's these sort of things where you're sort of the mother of the team, and the sort of cute things where you keep everyone safe. And some people like to fill that role, and I think that's really cute.
Fighter. Paizo, combat assessment. I know that rogues have an ability like this too, and so do investigators. Or no, there are specifically feats that tell you the mechanical numbers, and a lot of groups struggle with recall knowledge. I almost feel like we need a recall knowledge book.
We do need at least I think we need at least a couple of pages on it to clarify exactly what it
recall
does.
Knowledge does.
Yeah, because we don't know the power level of this otherwise. Yeah.
I mean, what should we be like? I know you leave it up to the GM, but
there should at least be a guide. We need guidelines, even if GMs can go outside them. We always do, but it would be very nice to have more clear guidelines on recall knowledge. Definitely.
But with that said, I like rebounding toss.
Yes, there's some really cool stuff again with the dwarves as well. With thrown weapons, I feel like we've got a lot of new cool stuff in this.
Ricochet stance is probably really good.
Again, for more thrown weapons, and we see with the barbarian got some as well. I believe the rogue does, so I like that. Yeah.
Cut from the air makes a comeback from Pathfinder 1.
So good, so good. And then smash from the air, like the high level version, lets you just slap away like a ray of frost coming at you. With your sword.
Not even a ray of frost. It's like any ranged spell attack
ranged
roll.
Spell attack. Yeah, that's what I was
a
just
finger of death.
Yeah, literally.
Just Jedi mind trick away a finger of death.
I like to think it's sort of you're like almost reflecting it up somewhere else with your sword.
You're probably just catching it with your sword, you know? Just catching it.
Just takes it. Yeah, you're just like, cool. That'd be cool. You're like absorbing it. We need something like that.
So that's really cool.
Yes.
Smash from the air is so good. If I play a fighter, he's gonna have all of that. Just gonna make attack rolls to. Oh no, it's just a +4 circumstance bonus to AC. Yeah.
And then the ultimate flexibility as well. Like you already get the core flexibility as fighters, and this gives you even more. So I think you can just change your fighter every day.
I think I'm trying to think of which book. I believe fighters can take a 20th level feat that does the same thing or similar to this from Age of Ashes book 6.
I can't remember.
Yeah, there's new capstones in the last book and new
I know you're right. I just can't remember exactly what they are.
Thought it had something about just every day pick 3 feats you don't have and they can be used to gain other feats or something like that. It's really weird.
Fighters get a lot of options.
Monk might be the best additions of things
they get a lot
for
of
the
good
core
stuff.
classes.
Like they got some really cool new stances. Like
I mean,
I think a lot of people talk about the fact that like a couple of the new stances don't have a requirement for unarmored.
Yep.
Which some of the core stances do. So like things like Gorilla Stance can work really well as a more armored fighter who wants to do it. So yeah.
I mean, so
obviously,
Stumbling Stance doesn't make you have to be unarmored either.
You can just do that.
Yep.
Of course, Monastic Archer you have to be unarmored, but you get to be a Monastic Archer. I know a lot of people wanted this, the whole Zen Archer style, and the fact that you can use it with flurry of blows and everything is really cool. So I think, this is very cool. I'm glad we have that now for the people who wanted that.
I mean, Shooting Star Stance is pretty good too.
You want to do it with the shurikens?
Cobra Stance doesn't need you to be unarmored.
Nope.
Cobra Stance so good.
Yeah, I was using that against my players.
Cobra Stance so good.
Had some like Asmodean monks using Cobra Stance for the snake. So yeah.
Gosh, do poison damage with your hands. Gains the deadly D10 trait. Oof.
Yep.
It's agile. It's finesse. A non-lethal poison. Take this non-lethal poison damage, guy.
Yeah, you're just knocking him out.
Yeah. Got chloroform hands, son.
Yeah, literally.
Plus I get a bonus to fortitude saves and my fortitude DC. And I gain poison resistance equal to half my level?
And that's just a 4th level one. Like,
Jeez. And it's common. I mean,
yeah,
it's better than Stance of Embers.
which is the like one you have to get through society.
Yeah.
The flaming one.
And it's rare.
Yeah, and then they just give you this. It's just like, okay.
And a lot of the Align Key, it's really good. Just heal hit points at level 6. It's good.
I got some very cool new key spells, including the key form.
1-inch punch, 2 or 3 actions.
No, I assume this is showing the stumbling stance here. The picture.
Yeah, he's bouncing off the wall.
Yeah.
If anybody ever wants to know what stumbling stance look like, they just need to go watch Drunken Master with Jackie Chan in it. The movie's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So you've got...
And then the 20th level feat for this was weird.
Well, let's talk about 1-inch punch. It's basically based on Bruce Lee there.
Yeah.
I like feats that are 2 or 3 actions, like they give you multiple levels.
I think that's pretty cool.
I think that might have been the first one I've seen.
I believe we differently saw in a couple of the archetypes as well, which is after and before this. But yeah.
And then, of course, the 1mm punch.
Yep.
Where they can critically fail and get knocked 30 feet back.
Yep. That's pretty intense.
The 20th level feat, man, in our
Bizarre.
original thing, it's dumb. It's dumb. It's bad.
Like,
it's terrible.
Really good as a lower level feat. I don't understand it as a level 20 feat.
I think that if it was Fatal D12, it would be fine.
Yeah.
But it needs to be Fatal D12.
It's like if you want Deadly D10, you pick up Cobra Stance.
I thought that when I first read it, I thought it made your attacks, your normal attacks, do a D10 and gave them Deadly Trait.
Yeah.
And it was a little better, but that's not what it does.
No, I don't understand how this is a 20th level feat.
I think it needs errata. I mean, even Fatal D10 is better than this, but Fatal D12 is what this should be.
Yeah.
A 20th level monk should absolutely just smash somebody with an unarmed critical
strike. A level
strike.
20 monk should never be picking this up. Like
I can't imagine why you would take it.
Like, I wonder if it was input as the wrong level. Because it could make sense as a lower level feat. Like, being able to add a Deadly D10 to one of the other stances that doesn't get it. Makes sense as a lower level feat.
Maybe 6th or 8th level? I think it'd be good at 6th or 8th.
Maybe even like 10th or 12th. But not as a 20th level. Like, I cannot understand that. That's really confusing for me.
I don't know. I think I would, at my table, make this Fatal D12.
Yeah.
Because 20th level.
I think I'd just be like, pick something else.
I mean, if somebody was like, no, it's cool, I'd be like, no, okay.
We're gonna make it better.
it's Fatal D12 because it only powers off of critical hits.
Yep.
And who cares if your damage die? It needs
like
Deadly
it doesn't
D10.
even like increase your critical hit chance or something. Like if it did, maybe it'd be better. Like if you also got the thing where like you crit on a 19 and stuff, and they added stuff like that. But there's.
I mean, but Keen is so low on the property rune list that you could just apply that anyway and crit on 19s.
Yeah.
Maybe if this made it one better and stacked with Keen, so that if you hit on an 18, you crit instead, then it would be great.
I'm not sure what happened with that one.
Definitely.
Ranger, I'm very happy about, because I think there's the whole argument about like Rangers as sort of a mixed like martial or magic class. I'm glad that they made them a core martial class. I am glad they have focus spells now, and I think focus spells are a really nice way to do things like monks and rangers without making them like a botched mixture of spellcasting and martial. Where it's like you can play Ranger full martial if you like, but if you do want a little bit of mystical nature energy in there are ways to do that without falling into like having to sacrifice martial stuff for it.
Well, I mean, the fact that you can get Heal Companion as a focus spell now changes the whole game.
Yeah, it's like all the animal rangers are cheering. Like, you can look after your pet. That's all we want.
Soothing Mist is low-key the best healing spell in the game.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, it cures bleeding and burning too.
So I think, there's some really nice new spells. I think most of the stuff hit with very, except for the level 20 feats, I believe, are all the Warden spells. But I think they're a really good addition.
Yeah, they didn't get a level 20 spell that's a spell casting thing, and I
Nope.
feel like they
They got-
should have.
A flurry and another snare thing.
Yeah.
Which is nice for snare rangers. I think they've improved snare stuff so much in this book. It's great.
I mean, terrain transposition is really good at 10th level.
It
Like,
is.
how is that even... Gosh.
There is the requirement you have to be in your favorite terrain, which I guess is like restricts it a bit.
Don't you get
but
so many of them at this level, though? Do you not get more than one?
I
thought you
think
did.
you have to retake the feat
Mm.
to get more than one. So I think there is the slight caveat there, but if you are in your favorite terrain, it's really good.
I mean, Rogue's got 2 new rackets.
They got 2, yeah. They're laughing.
I don't know how they play. I think one is supposed to be the, well, they didn't want to call it the Arcane Trickster, so now we're the Eldritch Trickster.
Yep.
And then, of course, the Mastermind.
Yep. The Moriarty,
the-
the Investigator Sherlock.
The level 1 Rogue feats. First of all,
Yeah.
Tumble Behind should have been in the core book. Or it should just be part of Tumble Through.
Yeah.
It honestly should just be part of Tumble Through.
I quite like it. There's so many people like rogues and swashbucklers who can do it, because I think they should be the ones who
I
best
think-
tumble through.
I think it should be on a critical success for Tumble Through.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, your next attack they're also flat-footed because you tumbled so well. Like
Yeah.
success it shouldn't be, but
But as
I
a
mean-
crit success, I can see it more, yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas, and then you can get it as a success as somebody like a rogue and a swashbuckler, so you can reduce. Yeah.
plant evidence. Ooh, with what's going on in the world, man, you probably should have.
Doing that
maybe-
right
maybe
with
it
the
was-
Agents of Edgewatch path, it's like maybe don't do that. No, that
I don't know. That
wasn't-
one's.
Yes.
I mean, I'm just speaking from a poor American boy that has to watch TV and hear about all these planting evidence cops and things, and it just
Literally.
I don't know. It hit me wrong, man.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm not a fan of that, but
With that
think-
said,
I do like a lot of the other new rogue stuff. I think
Yeah.
there's a lot more for ruffians, which is nice, because I feel like before, like the thief rogue was so much better.
well,
than a lot
Thief
of the
Rogue I
others
think
that-
is still
It's
much
so
better.
good. It is, but I'm glad that there are more options now for things like the ruffian rogue. I think we still need more for the scoundrel.
I mean,
would
I
want more for the
guess.
scoundrel.
Can a thug? You can choose strength as your class.
Yes.
Yeah, so you can get an
This is
18
a ruffian.
strength with a.
Yep. As
yeah.
a ruffian. So yeah.
So
Yeah, we do get a couple new like feint stuff for the scoundrel, so yeah. I feel like they are like trying to sort of shore up the others a bit, which I do appreciate. And I do love that the rogues as well as the investigators get the like implausible purchase stuff. I love that stuff. It's so funny. Like I'm glad they made the core things just general feats now so other people can do it, but I'm glad that the rogue and investigator got better versions.
Yep. Analyze weakness is really cool. Use an action. Well, I guess it's technically 2, but
Yeah.
another way to add 2d6 more sneak attack damage.
You'll take that.
Well, I mean, the thief racket gets it as part of a debilitating strike.
Yeah.
They can add 2d6.
But would this not stack it?
Yeah, it would. You do an
Yeah.
extra 46. So like if I rebuilt
You
into
use the
this,
recall knowledge for that.
yeah, so if I rebuild into that, I could be doing 76 damage on
Yeah.
sneak attacks at 13th level.
And you can do your recall knowledge to check if they take precision damage.
That's all you got to
Before
do.
you use it.
Yeah. I don't know. Can I use recall knowledge and specifically ask if they're immune to precision damage?
You know, I would love to know.
I would love to know that too. I guess my GM will just have to tell me.
Yep.
I'll just
That's
roll the
good.
die and I'm not saying that recall knowledge is bad, but I am saying recall knowledge is not
Needs
good for a
clarification.
non-experienced game master. If
Yeah.
you just want people to pick this up and play it like another fantasy game that is super easy to get into, then you've got to explain what recall knowledge does, because someone that has GM'd never before and the wizard goes, I want to recall knowledge on that. And he's like, well, what does recall knowledge do? And the player goes, I don't know. It says that you'll tell me.
Yeah.
Right? And then now you've got
Then
a
they're
20
like, okay,
minute...
I'll just tell you everything.
Yeah, now you've got a 20-minute discussion before they finally just go, well, you know everything. Go look it up.
I think
It's just-
tactical entries, one of my favorite rogue feats that we did get in this one, where if you're like sneaking around in the combat when initiative starts, you just stride in. And it's like the enemy hadn't noticed you yet, but you're like, what's up? So I love that, and get to do it as a free action, and it doesn't trigger any reactions and everything. So yeah, I like that a lot. So I like a lot of the initiative stuff we got in this book is what I've noticed. I like a lot of the way it's sort of the different ways people react at the start of combat and how it places you in the correct kind of positions. There's a lot for sort of where somebody should be in the combat that's really sort of lent to in this book, which I really like.
I did retrain my rogue into preparation, because I have opportune backstab, which is a reaction
So now
that
you
lets
get-
me hit if they hit. So instead of taking a -10 attack, with my Aldari dueling sword, I can spin this action, and I know that my fighter and my barbarian are at least both going to hit once, right? And so I also get full.
So that's I think that if you've
Yeah,
got the reaction for it, that's brilliant. It's like
Yeah.
obviously if you haven't picked up any reactions, it's useless. But if you have, that's fantastic.
I mean, this would be really good for other rogue reactions. I do believe they have one that lets them interrupt reactions of other creatures
There
that
you
they
go.
trigger.
And they're like,
So-
okay, they've used that now. You're like, I can use it again.
Yeah. Implausible purchase, obviously.
Yeah, love it.
I like what Steal a Spell is doing.
Ooh,
Yeah.
you randomly steal it, and it can be up to 8th level spells.
Yeah.
That's wild.
That's so good.
So I guess we randomly selected you, roll a dice, and have them all assigned. And then
What is Legendary Thief? Is that
Whew.
what does that mean?
I believe that is a skill feat. So that's a 15th level thievery skill feat.
Yeah, I'll
So
have
you
that.
pick that up. Yeah, you're a
But you
rogue.
gotta-
Of course you have that. You have every skill feat in the book.
Yeah, I don't think I can get Loner Spell because no, I am trained in nature. Oh, well, awesome.
Yeah, you don't even have. I thought it might be an Eldritch Strix thing. It's not. You're great.
Apparently at 16th level, I'm just gonna steal, I don't know,
8th
high level
level spells.
dragon spells and shit.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I mean, obviously you might end up just stealing a random spell, but even just like making them lose it and then just getting a spell, like that's so good. That's very nice. I might have to consider that.
It's randomly selected from the highest level spells they know to a maximum of 8th level.
Oh, it's actually from the highest levels. Oh, I thought it was from any of the spells.
No, it's the highest
Oh,
level
that's
to a max of 8th
ridiculous.
level. Yeah, you're taking their highest level slot, one of their highest level slot
So
spells.
it has to be a high level spell you steal. If they only
Yeah.
have one high level spell, you just take it.
Yeah.
You're like, well, you don't have it anymore. I do.
You don't even
have
get
it
a
anymore.
you don't even get a
Like,
9th
that's
level
their
spell.
big thing, and you're
Yeah.
like, thanks, bro.
But they don't even get a 9th level spell slot until 17th level.
Like,
So yeah, right
It's
out of the
ridiculous.
gate, you're taking their
you're taking the highest level spell, and again, in terms of initiative, you are probably going first because you're a rogue.
and then
So they don't even get a chance to use this.
yeah,
That's so good.
yeah.
I love that.
Oh, I'm definitely
Oh,
taking
I'm building a
Legendary
rogue
Thief.
after this. I'm building a rogue after this.
I think I'm gonna have to go back and take Mug though.
Is that where you shove someone and like steal from them?
No, you
Yeah.
you make an attack and steal from them. You make a melee strike against an adjacent target. If you hit and deal sneak attack damage, you can also attempt to steal from the target, even if the target is in
Like,
combat.
In combat.
So just like, it's like move in real quick, because you're a fucking rogue. You go.
yeah.
fa-
You could do that with steal spell
Yeah.
because
You
that's
could.
a steal action.
Yep. So you
It's
could
not
you
its own
could
action. It's,
you could move in, hit them once, deal sneak attack damage because they're probably flat-footed. I mean, if you stack it with tactical entry, you can roll initiative with your stealth, get a free
evade
action
them.
move,
Yeah.
then you can attack, steal a spell, and then use the spell.
That's so stupid. Oh, spellcasters are screwed, man.
Oh man, it's
I love that.
dumb. It's so dumb. I love it though. I love it.
That's so good. That is so good. I didn't even realize that interaction.
Is reconstruct the scene also an investigator thing?
Possibly. Again, we did notice that a couple of the feats investigators the rogues also get, which,
Yep.
yeah, again, the whole thing that they are fairly similar with some distinctions. All right, should we move to the sorcerer?
Oh yeah. We gained Genie, Nymph,
Oh,
and Psychopomp and Shadow, I think.
Shadow.
Um, I did mention earlier that I would have liked for Genie to have been released when the versatile heritage for the elemental
Yes.
ancestry is
That would've been
released.
cool.
But I mean, it's here. The setup
Yes.
is here.
I like that we get the different things. I always like it when there's like slight variation in the bloodline as well. That's something I really like with the elemental bloodline, and I like that we get it with the genies as well.
You also get it with
different spells.
dragons.
Yes. So I like it when we have even more slight variation even within the bloodlines.
Yeah, because
Um,
then one bloodline becomes 5.
Yeah, literally. Like the amount of options there are in this is ridiculous, and I think especially the amount of options with sorcerers is intense. There's so much. It's so hard to make the same character.
Sorcerer is really an advanced class.
There's so much to it.
I think Sorcerer should have been in the APG. I know that it was going to go in
it's
the
considered
core
such a cool
rulebook.
thing is the problem. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I
And
would-
one of my favorite things in this though, ancestral blood magic. Like
Yeah.
if you're playing a gnome, if you're playing an elf, if you're playing like a human or a kobold,
yeah,
you can get your blood magic effect when you're using your innate spells.
yeah.
Okay, that's already great. Then check out the higher level one, Ancestral Mage. The magic of your ancestry and bloodline are one and the same. Add any innate spells you have from a heritage or ancestry feat to your spell repertoire, meaning you
Yeah.
can cast them using your spell slots. So your innate spells now just become your regular sorcerer spells. That's so good.
So what you're saying is, my half elf can haste all the time.
Yes, yes, they can. So, yeah,
Signature
like-
spell expansion
so
is
cool.
good.
Oh.
Yeah, just add
And
2 more signature spells. That's
Yeah.
good.
Spell relay, I love 6th level feat. Like a sorcerer I'm running has immediately picked this up. It's so funky. Like I was looking at this, I love it. Like you become the conduit for your ally's power. Like you are just made of magic. Somebody casts a spell, you use your reaction, and again, you're a sorcerer. You're not using attacks of opportunity. This is a nice little reaction for you.
Yeah, it
You can
is.
use your reaction so that they cast the spell from you. That's so good. Like you just make sure you're always in a different position to your spellcasting allies. And if they need a different option, you're there to be the different option. You're surrounded by people, cool. They do a spell around you and hit people. You're around the corner, they're around the other. They're there. They can't see an opponent. They use you to cast it. There's somebody slightly out of reach, but within reach of you. They use you to cast it. Like I love that. And you could like, I would like let people like try and do like some little deception stuff with that as well, because the spell's coming from you. Like people probably think you're the one casting. So, I really like that. Especially if you've got a wizard who's got like conceal spell. He's sneakily casting. It comes from you. Everyone's like, wow. It's like it's not you. So I think there's a lot you can do with that, and I think it's so cute, and it just like encapsulates this whole idea of that you are just magic, raw magic.
I mean, split shot is good too.
It's good. It's good.
Gives you a 120 range cantrip, right? Can you do this with cantrips?
Cast a spell without a duration. No requirement for a spell slot.
Okay.
So yes, you absolutely can.
So you can hit 2 creatures at 120 feet away with a Ray of Frost.
Just do it. Easy peasy.
I mean, as a full round, 3 action.
But no, and I think one of my my other favorite ones here is the blood component. So I loved already that sorcerers and oracles got to replace their components for material systematic. Thought that was already really cute. This takes it to another level. 1, if you wanted to play Nico Minoru, now you have an option. Play her as an Imperial Sorcerer. 2, just the idea of that, what this means, again, like, that you can hurt yourself to cast spells and get rid of all other components. Still has Concentrate, sorry, barbarians, but you can be locked up, gagged, chained on the floor, and you can still cast the 3-action verbal somatic material spell. No problem. Can't move your hands, no problem. Can't speak, no problem. It's like, you're in an environment where you can't breathe, no problem.
Cool.
You can cast spells in pretty much any situation where that you hurt yourself, but doing that does not require you to move at all. So this makes it so that you can always cast spells. And that's, yeah, pretty powerful. So I really, really like that. And again, I love sort of leaning into the idea of, yeah, sort of what your power like does to you and the damage it does. Yeah, and there's a slightly oracle tone to that, which I like as well. So,
Bloodline Mutation. Is it any good?
Oh, Bloodline Mutation is pretty cool.
Yeah?
So yeah, you can get things like fly speeds and everything, and resistance 20 against an energy type and stuff. Some pretty nice stuff. Like, it's not to the level of some of them, but it's certainly not the monk level. Oh, you also gain low light or dark vision from the creature as well. And you do get the trait, which can affect things as well. So there are a few nice things there.
Well, is it time to finish this off?
With the wizard.
With the best class to ever exist. Staff Nexus, obviously love new Arcane Thesis, just more base options are good. I'm really glad that non-lethal spell is a thing.
Yeah.
I'm really sad that we didn't just give non-lethal spell to any casters for Agents of Edgewatch instead of just being like, oh, everybody does non-lethal damage. I'm fine with that too.
Yeah. It's like,
but I think it was there, right? It was there. I do like that. For some reason, the sorcerer has to spend an action to do split shot, but apparently, oh, that's split slot. Yes. Oh, yes. I totally did. This is actually really good. That's amazing.
I read a split shot first as well. So yeah, no,
wow,
that's nice.
How many times can you do that? One spell slot, at least one level lower than your highest level spell. Oh, and then you put 2 spells in it and pick throughout the day. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's nice. Gives a bit more flexibility to the wizards. As a prepared spellcaster, you're always looking for a little bit way to get a bit more flexibility.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
I thought this said dinner sense, man. I must be hungry.
Very after this. Oh, I my rogue.
Second chance spell. They didn't get as many feats as some of the other classes.
Again, the druids didn't either. I think they already have a lot, and obviously partly for them, all the new spells are sort of part of their new options. Like for something like the barbarian or the rogue, a lot of it is about your actual physical options. For things like the druid and the wizard, like the wizards, one of the big things in this was how many more necromancy spells they actually got. So they actually got a lot more options through their spells, so they don't get as many feats as the marshals. But sorcerers did get a lot, so. I love the second chance spell feat. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I'm reading Spell Mastery to see if I can even understand what it.
You basically just get 4 extra spells.
But can you memorize them in other spell slots without your spell book and stuff?
I think you just always automatically prepare this when you make daily preparations. So
is that what it is?
These. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Yeah. No, the second chance spell I love. It's like if you use like a fear spell on someone and they critically succeed, you're like, okay, well that one didn't work, and you move it to another creature.
So spell mastery.
Yeah.
Is this better than getting an additional 10th level spell to get an additional 9th, 8th, 7th, and 6th level spell?
Quite likely.
Yeah.
But it depends on what that other 10th level spell is.
I mean, well, the 10th level spell is going to be Wish, which is...
Yes.
Or is Meteor Swarm 10th level now?
And Cataclysm and stuff. And the new invulnerability spell.
Time Stop?
Time Stop. Was that level 9? I can't remember. But no, I think that this is an option. It depends what you want, which is what we should get from level 20 feats. Is that these are both very powerful, and you're like, this is really good, but I want this. Whereas it's like, but you can still see the absolute value in the other one.
I mean,
think that absolutely should be.
I'm really sad that the Wizard's 20th level spell wasn't add deadly D10 to all of your spell attacks.
Spellcasting.
Just do an extra 10 damage with your attacks if you crit, but only if you crit on that nat 20.
I love it. No, I think this is a very nice 20 level one.
I mean, wizards are legendary casters, right?
Yeah, they are brilliant casters. Like, so the amount of spells you get to cast, like adding spell mastery as well, the amount of spells you can have prepped at 20th level is ridiculous.
Yeah, but I mean,
Might
aren't they
be-
legendary? Like they're +8,
Oh yeah,
plus,
yeah,
plus
yeah, yeah. They get to
28.
legendary. Yeah,
Yeah, so they're going to hit more often than the monk is anyway, because they're only going to be master.
true, true, true.
I mean,
Because they're
they
not a
do get
fighter.
+3 to attack though,
Yeah,
so they're
and you do
technically.
get the thing where you automatically can roll a 10 on your first attack.
There's that too.
So there are some things with the
So,
monks that they do get.
so I guess what I'm saying is, man, that deadly D10 to any spell you make an attack roll with is actually more powerful for the wizard than it is for the monk.
Dear.
I'm just going to be a Gestalt monk wizard so that I can do that with my spells. Then you'll see the
Okay.
real power.
But as an overall, though, just this book is fantastic. I'm so happy about a lot of the niches that were filled, a lot of the new options. Obviously, we've had our little quibbles, but I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea. Like, this book is brilliant, and I really, really recommend getting it. And it has just so massively expanded the options for this game. Like, this game has been out 1 year, and like this book has just blown up how many more options we have for it already.
Well, it
So,
already
yeah.
had more options than any other.
Literally, and this is just blew out the water. So if you were somebody, especially from 1E, who was like, oh, I want to play 2E, but there's not enough options yet, have another look if you haven't already after the APG. I'd recommend having another look.
I mean, after seeing that level 20 monk feat, how could you not immediately...
Hey, but that rogue feat, though.
Yeah, the rogue feat's good.
Like,
Stealing spells? Woo!
it's so good.
I mean, I guess you couldn't... I mean, maybe you could. Man, you need to be hasted. So you have to be a half-elf. You have to haste. You have to be hasted before you do it so that you can get the extra move or strike or whatever.
No,
Yeah,
no, you
it's
just
fine.
use the bit where you the initiative thing to move.
Yeah, but you
action.
need two actions to be able to cast the spell that you steal. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So you need 4 actions. You need to free action
Well,
move.
for the other action, you run away and then you cast it next time.
No, that's true. You have up
You
to
get it
4
for
rounds.
1d4 rounds. Yeah. So.
So you have to
You'll at least
cast
have
it
it for
next
one
round.
round.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
Any parting thoughts there?
I want to thank everybody involved in this book. It was really good. I especially shout out to the artists. The art again was fantastic, but to just all the editors, the writers, to the shipping staff. I know you don't always get mentioned a lot, but the book always comes in pristine condition, packed brilliantly. So thanks a lot to the warehouse staff, everyone involved in this. You've done a fantastic job.
So if you can't guess, we absolutely love Paizo and everything they're about, especially at Roll the Roll. Especially me. I don't play anything but Starfinder and Pathfinder 2, unless it's real vampires that I haven't played in a long time since Pathfinder 2 released.
I'm almost exclusively playing Pathfinder 2e now. It's changed the game for me.
Yeah.
So good.
So I will put this at the end of this video. You can catch Roll the Roll playing on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Alice is in the Sunday game that I run. I am a player in the other 2, but on September 9th, which is my birthday, Alice will be running the Paizo module, The Slithering. And so you can see what a game looks like run by the amazing Alice.
A mess, probably, but we'll get there.
And that will be streamed on Wednesdays. It'll be like an afternoon game live stream. We will get it up on YouTube as soon as I quit procrastinating and upload them. I'm terrible at that. But with that said, we're going to get out of here. And there will be a link down below to help get you to part 2. I'm sure Cody will get off his booty and put it in a playlist or something. I don't know. I think that's what he does sometimes.
We started doing these reviews before the book officially came out to give you an idea of how many
Yeah.
issues we had.
Well, I mean, Cody had to go to ER. His kid had to go to ER the week before that. I had to be
Go to
admitted
ER.
to the hospital. No, I didn't just go to ER. I was admitted to the hospital.
Yeah.
Um,
It's been a lot.
got out. So we've had a lot of health issues in the last few weeks, but we're all finally on tip-top shape. July and August have not been our best months, but hopefully September and October will be. But we will see you next time, and
Yeah. See you all.
if you need a virtual tabletop to play on, I will always plug my friends at Roll20, because quite frankly, it's free to start, free to learn, and then you can pay for what you want and use it.
Yeah. Easy to use as well.
Yeah, it's very easy to pick up and use. But that's it. Have a good one, guys.
Yep. See ya.